alone
When we had the
survivor.
people come in, I was like, maybe
We're
there'll
live.
be another guy. Yeah, because Sean left.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll do roll call. Carolyn Hobson,
Here.
Anna Murphy,
Here.
Callie West, not here. Carrie Wiesen, here. Michael Brennan,
Good evening.
Eleanor Hassenbeck, here. Welcome. Cloud Clark,
Here.
Carl Ayers,
Here.
Keith Noel.
Here.
All right. And next is committee appointments. So I assume this is for positions.
Yes.
Okay.
If you'd like to change positions or, I don't know if you want to leave, but typically someone either nominates someone or you nominate yourself and then someone seconds that.
Okay.
We do it. Yeah. They're usually 1-year commitments.
1 year. Oh, I thought we were doing them. Do we do those annually?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah, after every appointment. Generally.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy to stay as chair, or I can leave if someone else wants to do it. Or if Carolyn wants to take over and be chair.
Either way, you're doing a great job.
Okay.
I'm fine with leaving things the same if anyone wants things to change or would like a position.
Anna, how do you feel as secretary? I know this is a
I think I can do another year,
okay.
unless someone's dying to be secretary. I think I can commit to 1 more year.
I would nominate to have Anna stay as secretary. Okay.
Sounds good.
Who seconded?
I did.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how to proceed with it. Do we?
Well, I can nominate you as chair.
And you as I'll nominate you as vice chair.
Okay, sounds good.
If anyone wants to second those
I'll
or
second on
wants
both.
to. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. We'll just leave it as it is. Perfect. All right. And then next we have approval of minutes from September 3rd. Everybody get a chance to look over the minutes, and were there anything that needed to be changed or added?
Nope. I can motion to approve them.
I'll second the motion. Next on the agenda is public comment for non-discussion items. Up to
I don't.
it's
think
probably
that
better.
matters.
Is the microphone on? Is it needed?
Oh, that's a different microphone. You can try. I don't know if you got to.
I just didn't know for recording purposes if it.
being pushed way a survey. We didn't say a thing. We didn't send it out to our 1,500 people on our email list. We didn't do any of it. And so out of that, still came an amphitheater. At the same time, while this was going on, what we didn't know, and which is so upsetting to me, is that Farmstead was planning a remake of their revised master plan. And they weren't talking about Newell Farm Park at all. So when they came to the planning commission for a revised master plan, I asked the lead, the project lead, Steve Schroeder, what about Newell Farm Park? Is he no mention? And he said to me, what? So, and so then by the time they get to the trustees have to vote. They, so I go immediately after the planning commission and to the trustees, and I warn you guys, I say, put it back on the radar screen, you've got 2 weeks to prepare. They've had months, they don't know anything about it, and so out of that came a trustee meeting where they had to vote yes because there had been so many reviews, and there was a legal threat. And we couldn't take care of the park properly. Okay? So now we get it on the radar screen, we get a concept plan. And now I hear everything about ballparks and COPs and things like this, and I just don't get it. I don't understand. So I'm sorry for being upset. I just don't get it. I just wish someone would explain it to me, and to our family. Because the town, the people, there was a good survey, and a lot of people responded. And the people said an amphitheater. And there was a thought of putting an amphitheater in Richardson Park at some point, 10 years down the road. People went, yeah. And this is the best place to put it because there's a space to put a performing arts center too, eventually. And the thought here is they want the amphitheater so badly because they can't get into the farm concert. We could sell easily 1,000 tickets. Easily. We sell 500 in less than 15 minutes. So we know we could sell 1,000 tickets. So you build a 1,500-person amphitheater. And then over time, a few years, people come and come and come and come and can't wait. And the next thing you know, fall comes and they say, I don't want it to end. Oh my goodness, can't we have it in the winter? And that's when it's time to start thinking about a performing arts center. So that's why we wanted the whole thing to be planned. So I just need to understand, I don't understand how the park could not be talked about to Farmstead and for us to bring it up. And I don't understand how the survey can say amphitheater and then we're talking about ballparks in a way they have done this. And you guys have been through all of this and I feel like you're not being listened to. And so I just had to say that. And get a few tears.
Thank you.
Stick around.
Yeah, I mean, I can try to give some quick answers.
Yeah, I can help as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Farmstead, I don't know if that was just Steve not being, there's no way he was caught off guard with that. There's a road leading from Farmstead to the property because we told them about the property. So it has been planned. In June, we took a port tour, and if you go back to our port tour packet, I have the property circled with the neighborhood master plan of Farmstead. And as we kind of drove by and stuff out there, I explained where we were at, where Farmstead was at in the process. Every meeting I've sat in, I don't sit in every planning meeting, but if that area is being talked about, it was well known. Newell's part of it, so. By staff all the time, of course. Whenever we're meeting with a developer, that's the whole reason there's a road leading to it. So it's been known, and of course it got brought up. Newell got brought up more when it finally got approved, the neighborhood master plan, There's still a couple things that have to get approved before they can start on that project. But then that kickstarted the conceptual design, and that's moving really as quick as it can. So the next phase is where we'll hopefully we will have a contractor picked out by the October 14th meeting. And so that's just the unfortunate kind of phasing that it goes. You get the concept completed, which takes 7 to 9 months, and then you get into construction document planning if it's approved to move that forward with that. So, but the town staff is always talked about Newell Farm, and I can't control what the developer says, and they don't always like us anyway. I'm not sure about this developer or not, but yeah.
Yeah, and from my recollection as well, the whole process leading up through that filing, we were consistent, even though you guys had not necessarily either finalized the sale when that started to first be talked about, or as the process moved forward with them, we were always saying, hey, is there going to be some sort of access? Is there going to be some sort of understanding that this needs to be a through road, or there needs to be access to that park? And so, unfortunately, I wasn't at that meeting, but I would agree that there is no way that they didn't know that there was going to be some sort of park there with probably an amphitheater, because the stage is already there, right? So that was in our comments when we were reviewing that project through the process. They might have not thought that it was certain, but I know at least a couple times when we have talked about that project, discussed that, hey, we need you guys to either maybe compromise on parking, or make sure that those first rows of houses on the west end of your property, they be limited to height, because there's going to be a park there and we need to look at view corridors. And so, yeah, for them to have said that they had no idea, I disagree with that statement. And as far as Richardson goes, the reason that is being talked about so much recently is because the plans for that, the drawings for that have been mostly complete. I think 80% complete for 4 years, and it was put on hold for the Arboretum and for other projects that were kind of easier to complete because of the cost. And then when the survey went out for the pool, etc., it started to come back online because it could be a place for the pool as well, which was on the survey, right? So it's not that we're necessarily, obviously I can't speak for everyone, right? But it's not that we're ignoring the importance or putting aside the importance of Newell Farm Park. It's just that project the plans have been paid for, and it's been in a holding pattern for, I think, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. The project itself, not the finalized project, but the planning for putting those fields in with an aquatic center. And that's why one of the conversations that we had in the last meeting, couple meetings ago, was what can we do to bump these other projects up? And obviously yours was next on the line in that presentation, right? That was one of the things that we were trying to move up. And it's, I understand the concern that you have, but it's not that it's being ignored or that the project is being belittled. It's that this other project has been in the works for so long.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Having said that, I do have a comment, and that would be that when we decided to do the survey last year, the conversation around completing the construction documents for Richardson Park was that, yes, Chris could continue with the construction documents with the caveat that what the survey showed would drive what the priorities were of the town. And so I do think that's something to think about. Is I get it that these construction documents are done, but I feel like that piece of information keeps going missing in the conversation. That the only reason those construction documents are done is because he wanted to continue with them with the understanding that things could change based on what the survey said.
Mm-hmm.
And that survey didn't show ballparks as a priority. So I think that's the conversation that maybe needs to happen, is that we talked about at that joint meeting following what the priorities were based on the survey, but completing the construction documents because the ball was already rolling. Not that we were continuing with that project no matter what. Mm-hmm. So I just think that's a conversation point to remember. And I keep trying to come back to that and bring that up, that I feel like the construction documents being done is great, but that was done with particular stipulations.
I don't know. When are we going to talk about this? Because
Yeah, I'm
like,
good.
are we talking about trails, or are we going to just shift and talk about what's like Sarah's? Because we could pull up the timeline that I put together and walk us through that now, or we could do it later. But at some point, I think we need to get everyone on the same page to give everyone and Sarah clarity on where things are at.
I'll let Lauren decide if she wants to do it now or during the updates. Or...
See, this is why I didn't want to be chair.
Man.
To make these decisions.
Because they all kind
good
of tie
either way.
together. Like, even what we're going to be talking about on our agenda item ties to exactly what we're talking about right now.
So I think it would be worth having a conversation about now. And unfortunately, I do think that was one of the reasons that I was hopeful and pushing for Port to be present and on the panel for the meeting for the study session, because we all got our 3 minutes and then we got a moment to maybe say anything if we had any other comments. But because we focus specifically on this, I think that we bring a different knowledge set to the conversation, because we've been talking about this time and time again, like Anna is talking about with her timeline. So if everybody's okay with it, I think it would be okay to have a conversation about that particular agenda item that's not on here, if that's okay with everyone.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Am I leading?
Anna, do you
So
want
I'm happy to start if we want to pull up the timeline, and I think hopefully Sarah, this maybe provides some insight. I apologize to people. We can start with the pool. I apologize to people who have not seen this. I literally sent it out an hour ago, and I really apologize for that. I do have a day job. This was my night job. So I put together, I think based on a year ago, the Port Committee had a joint meeting with the trustees, which Carl, you said was very well received.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that joint meeting, the top two priorities that were identified were the Arboretum and the pool. And so, again, I don't have unlimited time, so I went back and looked at all the Port minutes from the past 3 years since I've started. I put together a pool timeline on every meeting that this discussion came up, and I also put together an Arboretum timeline. And so I think since we're talking about Richardson right now, I'll start with that, but I'll also talk about the Arboretum too. So this discussion has been going on for 3 years at least, but at least when I came on December 7, we looked at Richardson, and immediately multiple Port members were questioning the resort/water park style pool at Richardson, noting insufficient lap lanes, and then they also noted that the lazy river could actually be, I mean, there's a lazy river at Wagner, so maybe that needs covered. But immediately, Port was questioning what's going on with this resort pool that maybe doesn't meet the needs of the town. Moving into August 2nd, oh, and then there were a couple of, I think there were 3 meetings where we just talked about naming and renaming of Richardson, but I didn't include those. Those were separate agenda items. August 2, 2023, again, the same design comes up, and Port again questions the pool design at Richardson, with consensus that the pool should have lap lanes and possibly a kiddie pool, as opposed to this water park / what we've been calling the resort pool. Okay, February 7, 2024, so a little year and a half ago, we get a cost estimate for the latest design at Richardson, comes in at $86 million. So phase 1 is 4 ball fields and a pump house, phase 2 is 2 ball fields and a park, and phase 3 is the aquatics, so $86 million. For the third time, the Port Committee brings up the pool design and questions whether that is actually meeting the needs of the town. And Sarah, that is the point when the Port Committee unanimously recommended the town revise plans from an aquatics / water park concept to a competition pool, and unanimously recommended that the town conduct the port survey. So that happened in February of 2024. Fast forward a couple months later, on August 6th, the port survey results come through, and between February and August, we had been providing input on just to make sure that the survey was including all the needs that we could possibly think of, etc. Oh, I did not. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. So March 6th, 1 month later, the cost estimate dropped from 86 million to 55 million. I have no idea how that happened, but it looked like there's still 4 baseball fields, picnic pavilion, restrooms, concessions, and parking area for phase 1. So I guess it dropped by 10 million. I didn't get any notes on what phase 2 and phase 3 cost. But all of a sudden, the cost estimate comes in at 55 million. All right, so then August 6th, the port survey results come in, and I think this is a key turning point because there are clear priorities of the town. These are statistically representative of the needs of the town. And the committee confirmed all of their speculation from the past 3 meetings that a resort pool in phase 3 at Richardson does not meet the needs of the community, and discusses the possibility to have it as phase 1. At the same time, an outdoor pool at Wagner Park is discussed as the option, and I believe that was the direction that staff were recommending that we go, because infrastructure and plumbing is already in place, so that would save costs. So then on October 1, like I mentioned, we had this joint port committee and trustee session, and the consensus was that the outdoor pool is the top priority, and that was backed by the port survey. So our port committee on February 5 discussed the pool and really talked about what the needs of the town would be, and that included the idea of having a competition-style pool, diving board, shade features, potentially a kiddie area. And so we get a cost estimate on that at $7.5 million. The budget was $6 million. And after discussion, Port requested a cost estimate for the addition of a kiddie pool, an 8-lane competition pool, and an alternate indoor pool. And then there was a note that Richardson would be pushed back with the Arboretum and the pool at Wagner under review. And so we really talked about, like, okay, 6 lanes is not enough. It's not meeting the needs of the town. We really feel like a kiddie pool would really help with the community, local feel for that area. I think everyone really wanted a diving board, wanted to have that 0 entry area, and I think we were willing to give up like a lot of stuff. And you can see most of this is not resorty, except for the slide, which was maybe like, down the road. Okay, and then April 2nd, so I believe Jeremy from the town staff presented an overview of port priorities since the 2018 Parks Master Plan. And he also presented 3 pool concepts. He presented an indoor pool, an outdoor-indoor pool combination, and an outdoor pool. And Port unanimously supported the outdoor pool. They said, let's call it Town Park 2.0. It included the 8 lanes that was perfect, kiddie pool, diving board, blocks, shade trees, and lawns. So nothing fancy, but They felt like it met the needs of the town, and that the other two options that were more expensive, that the money could be used elsewhere. Okay, fast forward to May 13, about 4.5 months ago. The town board unanimously approved engaging to complete full design and bid documents for future consideration of the outdoor pool addition at Wagner. And I think the cool thing is everyone from Port to the town board was on board with this 4.5 months ago. And something has changed. The design and bid documents have not occurred. There's been no CDs moving forward for 4.5 months, and 2 weeks ago, the town board supported the exploration of a finance option. COP was presented, which does not require voter approval, and primarily focused on paying for Richardson. So all of a sudden, we completely go way out of the direction that at least Port has been focused on, and the trustees. Focused on baseball fields and a resort pool with the possibility of adding lap lanes. But as you can see from this timeline, the resort pool was not a priority at all. So there's some confusion, I think, on this as to why we, as Port members, at least I'm concerned that we're getting slung around, and why we are changing direction so drastically when we had consensus a year ago and we had consensus 4.5 months ago in a direction. So, if we want to talk about the Arboretum, we can, just to kind of set the stage for both of these. Or we can stop and talk about the pool.
I think, yes, I think we should go do the same thing for the Arboretum and then talk about them together.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the Arboretum is a little less dramatic, but I think this is a really great timeline here. It's been a little less than 2 years, but I think it shows a lot of really nice things, how our committee has collaborated with the tree committee in talking about the Arboretum project and making progress and providing input. And I think it's also been great that we have worked with the trustees as well to have these joint meetings to really provide input and get feedback and to prioritize. So on February 1 of 2023, Port learned about the Arboretum project. So that was kind of right when I started, which was really exciting. And we discussed possible layouts and amenities. And I'm also assuming that the tree committee was on a similar timeline, having similar discussions as well, just from a tree perspective. We had 2 joint Port Tree Committee meetings, advisory committee meetings. So one was held pretty shortly after this, and we both provided feedback on that initial Arboretum conceptual design. What I love about this project too is it's been really consistent. Like, it's just been steady progress over the past 2.5 years. So a couple months later, there's a second draft of the Arboretum conceptual design, and again, Port Committee provided input. And then on January 3rd, we had a final draft of the Arboretum, or what we thought was final, and again provided a lot of good feedback and input, and all that was incorporated, and I think everyone was feeling good about it. And then on June 1, the Arboretum design was showcased at Bertha Day via a tree committee booth. I just put that in there because I thought it was nice that we were able to get that design out, at least to start to get it out to the public. And then on September 4 of 2024, the Arboretum CDs began in progress at some point that we got note of at the Port Committee. And this is where the design possibilities changed, because we were introduced to an acquisition opportunity by the town of a 7.5 acre field between the proposed Arboretum and Turner. And so my understanding is, I guess we're close on closing on that. It's not quite final, but that kind of changed a little bit the whole scope of the Arboretum. On October 1, as I mentioned, we had that joint Port Trustee Committee meeting where, again, the Arboretum is affirmed as a top 2 priority, and it, again, is completely focused on the number 1 and number 3 priorities of the town, which are biking/running trails and natural areas. So it made a lot of sense to move forward with this a year ago. Staff note that the Arboretum is at 60% CDs, March 5, so about, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And again, still working on that 7-acre property purchase. And you can see the cost estimates there were $6 million without the property, but then $11 million with the property. And the reduced plan is at $8 million. And then a new design was shared. And on May 7, the latest design, which staff had been really working diligently on, was shared. And there was a note that the design completion was expected in August 2025. And then on June 16, there was another joint port tree advisory committee that was held. So I feel like throughout this entire process, Port did exactly what they should do, which is just providing input and feedback, working with staff, working with Wink, I believe. And it's almost, I guess, ready to go. It sounds like the money's in the budget for it. And yeah, that's the status on that project. But it's not, hasn't been officially voted, even though there is money in the budget available.
And Keith, maybe you can give some clarity on kind of what the next steps are, because it sounds to me like there's some decisions to be made that if we, if the board is basically deciding at this point, do we proceed with a COP and do Richardson Park, or do we do these other projects? Because it sounds to me like it's an either or. Is that fair to say?
Or maybe Carl.
I know
Or
we're
Carl.
getting
Yeah.
we're getting
Sure.
above everything. I mean, I thought it was real nice that you also included the parks thing. So I'm just gonna go back to the last presentation that I witnessed and saw, because kind of lays out some, price breakouts. So there was possibilities of what can we do with no financing, and that had the option of the outdoor pool at Wagner, Arboretum, Jaskowski, and it kind of lays out how those would work through the years, and then maybe how that gets pushed out. And so, again, these can all be rearranged, however. But there's things popping up like Newell Farm Park, and there's people saying we need to expedite these things. And I'm not talking about Sarah, I'm talking about even board members and stuff like that. And it's like, we can't expedite every project. So this is laid out with all the other town projects involved, infrastructure, sewer, water, things like that, streets and stuff. So that's why it's laid out with no financing. Yeah.
Remind me what the
So-
colors mean.
So our, oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, remind me what the colors mean, because I think
The
green
project.
means
They match the, it's like the light green matches when it would happen.
when it would happen. That's what I was looking for.
So my concern about what was presented 2 weeks ago is that what we're talking about today, which is trails and open space, are not listed on here at all. And that is a top priority that's been consistent since 2016, the 2016 port survey, the 2024 port survey. That's not even on here as an option.
And I think
So
we can,
what's the deal with that?
I think we can talk, so the Arboretum, I think, would count under trails.
And open space, maybe.
Jaskowski would be a chunk of trails. Yeah, I was going to show you that today, because these are kind of the next trail steps. Because the other trail things, there's also the Rookery one. Those are kind of the 3 open space trail spots. After that, you have the underpass at Highway 287, which we did not get approved for grant funding to do that design this year. So that's hit a roadblock. That's a very expensive, option.
But the Arboretum's already planned, right? And Jaskowski, I question the $500K because my understanding is it costs $600,000 or $700,000 just to build a bathroom.
Right, and we weren't going to
And
put
I don't understand how $500K is gonna take care of all of Jaskowski for one.
So that's where we were going to get into the phasing and do phase 1 was try to construct a gravel parking lot, and our little safety amenities, and then just do as many feet of trails as we can get. Maybe it's not going to be the whole conceptual design, but our in-house engineers kind of working out. I had the conversation with them today because we're going through budgeting. I said, you have $500,000. how many feet of trails can we do? So it might look a little different than conceptually, and then we can start going down the options with the disc golf and how do we get it to a point where Colorado Open Lands allows us to do it without installing a bunch of irrigation and stuff like that, which is millions of dollars to irrigate that whole property. So ideally, Jaskowski would open up for dog training and trails.
But then when does phase 2 open up? I don't even see it on this 10-year timeline. Is that just off the timeline?
It's just not hashed out as much. I mean, there's a lot of other things not on here. The east field of Roberts Lake, that was conceptually designed, what, 5-6 years ago? I don't know who all was part of that port committee, but that design's done.
And what about land acquisitions? Is there
I think
any mention of that anywhere in the finance option or the no finance option?
I don't know all the spots he pulls to do those.
There,
I'm
So-
going to tell you, I don't see it on here, and it's concerning that our top priorities of open space and trails are
well,
not
there is.
even-
I did a very deep dive into the town budget, and there is, I believe, in
There-
Chris's planning, it's a very small amount though. Like there's like in the 1998 1% sales tax for the future. They have street maintenance is part of that, bats is part of that, and then I think, I mean, I could look it up. It's like 150,000 a year is allocated for.
And how much,
open space.
how much does it cost to acquire a chunk of land?
Well,
It's more
I
than
mean,
150,000.
yeah,
So
certainly.
there's not even what I've heard, what I've understand, and this isn't factual. It's just what I've heard is that a lot of farmers are getting older. They're starting to look at turning over their land because they're getting older and they don't want to farm, and their children do not want to farm either. So there's a lot of opportunity. There could be a lot of opportunity in the future for purchasing land. And my concern, if you have the finance option, is that there is no room in this budget for acquisition of land. And the past 5 years, the town has done an amazing job of being able to be flexible with different purchases that are outside of the 2018 master plan, including $4.5 million in open space acquisitions. And my fear is that with this plan that has come out of left field, no pun intended, that open space, trails, acquisitions are at risk, as well as Newell and other things. Like, I don't know if these numbers are accurate or not. I have no idea.
So this is, sorry to interrupt.
But we're talking about our top priority as a town is trails and open space, and I don't see it even in a finance option or no finance option.
So-
Even money set aside.
There's a park acquisition fund that's not shown in here. It doesn't have a lot of money, but so some of the recent properties we bought, there was some grant funding that was figured out to do that. I think so. This is again the no financing option, which is kind of showing the least. So this is, well, I think is the priorities. It has the outdoor pool at Wagner and Arboretum getting done right away, but then there's that pause. And Richardson, it's not like the board was going to approve a 10-year plan. It was just going to be, okay, probably a segment of a year or two or something, Now the financing option, I think, is the next one. To maybe, I think it was going to try to accomplish a few things a little quicker. And that's what I got out of it.
But look at where you're at in 2035. You have $500K left in the bank, and that's assuming these numbers are accurate, which we all know that construction costs are increasing. Who knows, 2 to 40% a year.
Well, in this,
And my understanding is that when this was presented, if it was an additional $3 million, this would have made this whole thing go red. And that's not even taking into consideration any additional open space, trails, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I think
I feel like this idea that Richardson that you've mentioned, Sarah, is going to break the bank, and it's really not even aligned with the priorities and what Portis talked about. So I do have concerns that the financing option that was looked at was a COP, which does not need voter approval, and this is, I think, the biggest purchase in town history, if not one of the biggest, that we're talking about. And again, I think Richardson is, especially I don't understand why the ball fields are even in this discussion. They're the number 13 priority. I understand there's like historical work that's been done, but if we're actually looking at the data, this is not the top priority of the town. It seems a little irresponsible.
Now, what if?
You actually look at the numbers, like what we're doing.
Right, I'm just asking a curious brainstorm. If Richardson could be done with the pool adapted to be lap lanes, does that change anything?
I think it absolutely does, because we don't have a conceptual design right now at Richardson that accurately reflects the needs of the town. And right now, sitting in front of us, we have Wagoner outdoor pool that Port has been working on for the past, I don't know how long. We made a conscious choice to start working on this. We had trustee support. We had Port. Everyone had consensus. It's going to be a lot cheaper, and it's going to meet the needs of the town. So I think if we want to keep waiting and dragging on, yeah, we could do a conceptual design at Richardson, redo that like we've been asking for a couple years. But at the same time, we have this amazing pool that like we all had consensus on. Everyone was like, this is it. This is perfect. This is meeting the needs of the community.
So I have said all along, like, if the town can actually afford Richardson, like, hey, that's great. But like I said, I did a deep dive into the budget. This financing page doesn't show the current. It shows the ongoing debt service so that's the payments that will be made on the COP at Richardson. It does not show the current payments on the rec center. And it also doesn't show the total that we're making from the 2 1%. So just as like a high level easy math, he shows the 2 1% here, each making $1.5 million. So he shows 3 total here. Total, they're making more like $6 million annually. So between the 2 1% sales taxes, the 2019 sales tax can only be used for parks and recreation. The 1998 one can also be used for like streets, sidewalks, and transportation stuff. So if you think about annually, the revenue is $6 million. So he shows the the loan payment for Richardson as basically 2. The loan payment for the rec center right now is like 1.3, but in a year or two it goes up to 1.5. So I think of that as $3.5 million. No, $4.5 million. What am I saying? 3.5.
3.5. Not 1.9. Is that what you're saying?
Right, no, but now I'm confusing myself.
I think the point is 2 weeks ago, the idea was that there was supposed to be a port priorities meeting where the trustees were supposed to be talking about priorities. And instead, what was discussed was financing of these items listed here, which may or may not be the priorities of the town or of the trustees. This was just shown.
Okay,
And so my struggle is, where was that priorities discussion? It turned into a financing discussion. And we could argue about the numbers, whether or not they're right or not, or this or that, but where is the port priorities meeting that was supposed to happen?
I mean, Chris was laying out a possible scenario, and then it's kind of passed to the board of trustees to kind of decide where to go. I think
Yeah, but there were other scenarios that were not even, like,
I
my
would-
concern is that the cart got before the horse. I think the discussion should have been, what are the priorities of the town? Which is really not that hard to figure out, because there's been a meeting a year ago talking about the priorities. On May 13, 2025, Carl actually made that motion to move forward with the CDs for the Wagner pool,
Mhm.
which hasn't happened. So, like, what is going on? Right, like, I'm very confused.
So I can address that. The reason my understanding of why some of this changed focus was that the plans themselves were going to cost $700,000, and it was the discussion, if I remember correctly, that happened was, well, if it's going to cost $670,000 just to get the construction drawings for Wagner, could we maybe take that $650,000 and put it into the pool construction documents at Richardson? And from there, it kind of went to, well, could we just afford to build the ball fields and the pool if there is this pushback from not having the ball fields, which is also stalling out Town Park in the future, because we can't get rid of the ball fields at Town Park until there are new ball fields made. That's my understanding of the sort of the beginning of the new Richardson discussion was, I think I said that correctly, right? If it's going to cost $700,000 for pool plans for an outdoor pool at Wagner, fine, but I think because the time frame of building Wagner's pool at Richardson would be the same. It would be 6 to 8 months difference at most, is what I understand, or what I remember from Chris saying. So the idea was, well, if we can afford both, why don't we take that $650,000 construction drawings that was going to be a cost at Wagner, and put them into another project so that we can kill two birds with one stone.
But $650K is not even breaking the bank in the grand scheme of things. And like even with Richardson, like phase 3, there clearly needs to be some conceptual design work and CD work on that, which is going to cost
Right.
$650 to $700, maybe even more. So
Right. And
that shouldn't have been an issue, really, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, pool at Wagner, pool at Richardson. Either way, it's going to cost money to get either new conceptual design or CDs for both. That money needs to happen, and it's very small in the grand scheme of things when we're talking millions and millions of dollars, right? So I'm still not understanding why there's been a shift.
I guess because the new financing came to light, and so that was something that was new information that added into it, and so then it was, would that change what we would have recommended if that option had been there to do the baseball fields and the pool at the same time as a package deal. And I think I kind of understand that. Like, they want to make sure that now that new financing option was an option, is that maybe what we would want to do instead of, because once we spend that $650,000, then that's decided. That's probably going to be the route that we go. So just making sure that everybody had all of the information that maybe came to light.
Did you guys have this information before the meeting?
this?
Did you have that financing information that you could, like, really look at before the meeting and study?
I don't think that was in our packet, but I do not recall.
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I'm also concerned with how that information was presented to you all, that you did not have an opportunity to really look at the numbers before it was presented. Because this is, again, the biggest purchase, or if not one of the biggest purchases in town history. And to not have this information to even look at in advance of the meeting causes me some concern. That decisions were made based on
But I don't think any decisions were made, correct?
direction was given.
To look further at what the
Yeah.
COP looked like
Yep.
financially, but I don't think they didn't decide to go with it.
Right.
They've got to vote on it still,
Right.
right?
Correct.
But just to get more information about it. Okay. Like you,
Well, I would just like to finish my point.
Oh.
The difference. My point is the difference in revenue versus what those two loan payments will be is 1.5 million, and the budget from last October showed 1.7 million allocated over the next several years to cover streets, bats, and that open space acquisition. So that is more than what we're currently making. So for my big concern is the transparency of the finances regarding the financing option, because from what I could find, we are allocating more than we're bringing in revenue to make this happen. So where are we pulling the money from for the streets or for bats, or like, are we getting that from somewhere else? Obviously our sales tax is going to increase, so that, I agree that's something we can bank on, that 1% is only going to go up. But because this doesn't show the whole picture, is my point.
But I do think it
So
does
I'd
show
like
an increase year over year. It's accounted like the
Right, of
Yeah.
the revenue. Yeah.
right. So they're
yeah.
increasing the revenue over time. So they are accounting for the increase in revenue, and it's still coming out at that.
Right, but the budget doesn't account for the increase
Right.
in cost of, they which I understand that's just how they do the budget. Like, it shows future years and it has the same dollar amount for streets, bats, and that like parks acquisition under the 1998 sales tax. So anyway, that was my, I just want to be absolutely sure that the town can reasonably afford this, because it is such a large amount. And ultimately the question is, just because you can afford it, should you buy it? It is still $40 million. So I guess that's my perspective.
And we don't even know if that number's right.
Also that.
Just
We don't even know what the actual, what an accurate bid is. Because as you can see, it has changed over time, and it keeps going down over time, which also gives
It's
me
interesting.
concern too, that what's 45 million going to buy us, especially if the ball fields go first. That's clearly going to get priority, and it's going to be hard to cut anything from the ball fields. So what kind of a pool are we going to get when
Can-
it's actually time to build the pool?
Can you go to the financing option page?
Which am I on right now?
You're on no financing.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. On the financing
Finance.
option page, it has Richardson Park pool and ball fields now at 39,000. Is that
Million.
or 39 million?
You're
Excuse
reading
me.
that correct?
Yeah, 39 million. But we don't have any kind of idea. What does that include for the pool?
I believe Chris said that'd be the pool. However, the pool wants to be. I think maybe the slides are taken away.
But not with lap lanes or anything like that. Like, we're not making those assumptions with this budget.
I don't.
We're making
I
those
can't be
changes.
sure on that.
I
It's
think
a-
he
it-
said in the meeting, if I remember correctly, the ball fields were estimated at 18 million. So that tells me 21 million for the pool.
Yeah, and you kind of go. I know we've been back in time a few times now. So after the May meeting, town staff started working with the designer to. This is the outdoor pool at Wagner designer to get the cost of the design right, and it came in pretty high. And it takes a little time to try to bring that cost down, because designers throw a lot of things in there, and the town goes, "We don't think that's necessary," stuff like that. So we can bring it down like $200,000, and this is just the design for the pool. So if that started kind of mid-May, that takes to June time, maybe July, and it sounded like to me at the same time we kind of got a concrete number on that construction that we all felt comfortable with. That's when Chris was meeting with whoever the COP people are. Sorry, don't do Chris's job. and he was talking about other types of projects like water and sewer projects. And at the time, the guy goes, "Do you have any other projects?" And Chris said, "Yeah, we have the park, but as he understood, it couldn't be funded." And this was a new COP person, I think that was different from the rec center one. He said, "Oh no, we could probably fund that." And Chris said, "Well," and then he said, "Would you like to see some numbers?" Something like this. I wasn't there. Yeah, let's see some numbers. So that came in July. We had the meeting in August with the board. It went late. Parks priorities stuff came on at like 10:30 at night or something like that. And so then it got pushed to a study session, and that led us into September. So, I mean, we still, I think at that meeting, you guys were going to talk about the that Wagner, the cost to do the Wagner pool, the documents. And it's probably unfortunate that the meetings went so late and nothing could have got hashed out at that late at night. But then it got pushed again. And I believe now we're at a point where the funding options are being looked at in multiple ways, not just Richardson, but also maybe ball fields at Richardson and pool at Wagner, something like that.
Yeah,
So-
because he wasn't sure if you could split up funding between
Mhm.
two different projects. Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a conversation about that at the meeting, and they said if we default on
once
it, then
the
we,
terms are up, regardless of if you default on it, you own the property. Yeah, like 20, 30 years, yeah. Right.
And
And this doesn't even show, but this is a 25-year loan, from my understanding, that we're paying about $2 million a year on, which is $50 million in debt service over 25 years. And to Carolyn's point, the $1.5 million that's left in the budget is going to cover what? Probably the most immediate needs. It's going to lock things up for the next 25 years, for the next 6-7 boards. They will be sitting on their hands, unable to be reactive. When I look at the slide that was presented at that meeting that shows the $50 million that's been spent over the past 5 years, that is amazing, because you can see that the 2018 Parks Plan items have been addressed, like some of them, but you can see that the town has been really able to react and take advantage of opportunities that have come up while still going in a really good direction. Like, it's amazing. Like, everything that you guys have accomplished as a town over the past 5 years has been unbelievable. And I personally would really hate to see some of these opportunities go away, because we are sitting on our hands for the next 25 years. And that 1.5 million is assuming that these numbers are accurate, which we all know they're not, because construction costs go up every year. You have tariffs to consider. You have unexpected things that could pop up that would immediately wipe out that 1.5 million. You have inflation. That 1.5 million is not going to be worth anything in 25 years or even 10 years probably.
And so, again, the only reason that we brought up, I guess staff brought up the financing option, is because there's a lot of things. There's more than just the Arboretum and the pool being brought up. There's also Newell, and there's these other things. And it was, okay, if this was just a scenario, if we want to try to get these things done quicker, financing might be the only way to do that.
But is quick the best way to go, or is just slow and steady like you guys have been doing for the past 5 years? It seems like every year or two we're getting a new amenity, which is amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we would still lose that with either of these plans. These little, like like Jaskowski's worked in here, or like even the Rookery that's not listed in here. Here
Yeah,
in
the
Lakes Open
Rookery's
Space.
not on here, but I mean, open space and trails isn't even on here. And I think with the no finance option, if we're just doing what we've been doing for the past 5 years and just taking things project by project and then taking advantage of like open space acquisitions and like that Little Thompson corridor, which I know a lot of people are super excited about. I wish Sean were here because he's super excited about the Little Thompson.
Mhm.
But it's great to be able to have that flexibility. And like pickleball courts, great. We can help the pickleball people, and like, you know, maybe the disc golf at Jaskowski only costs a couple of $1 million to get that infrastructure in. Awesome. Maybe we have money for that. Maybe we don't. But it seems a lot more financially responsible to be kind of doing what has been done the past 5 years rather than trying to rush it. Like, I don't understand why we're rushing this ball field like pool thing, which is not what at least Port's been working on for the past couple of years. Like, why are we trying to make this thing happen when we've been doing a great job just slow and steady? Just
So
I'm confused.
and those are all these possibilities. Yeah. Yeah, they weren't gonna like approve it. I don't think they were. But. So, all good points, and now the people in charge of that are the board of trustees now, to kind of choose that which option to go with all that stuff you're saying, and they're big.
But is there going to be a Port priorities meeting? Is there actually going to be a meeting to talk about these priorities that we're all talking about that are on the list or that are not on the list that were forgotten about in this?
I don't.
Because this meeting again was a meeting to talk about financing in this priority order that was laid out here, but like,
So,
what is the actual priority? Are
Yeah.
ball fields the priority? Is Newell the priority? Is that too far out? Is the outdoor pool at some location a priority? Like, I don't understand why that discussion has not happened yet. And we're talking about financing before we even talk about priorities.
I mean, both options were shown, right? The no financing option. I mean, I'm not putting any weight on Carl right now. I know I'm going to talk about the board. The board that night could have said Arboretum pool, and then we're done. But it's more talk, more discussion, more financing, more numbers. Let's see more. Got brought up. So it's moving on in that direction. So that's what happens once it gets up past Port. Your priorities are known. I don't think anyone on the board is going to argue that the Port priorities are an outdoor pool and then Arboretum. But now the decision gets passed. It's not the staff decision. It's not Port's decision. It's now the board decision to look at all that fun stuff, all those difficult options. So,
And
I-
I understand your concern, and so I made a note to ask if there is going to be a specific priorities. Are we, the board, happy with the way these things are laid out? Or are there things that we need to have shifted around in order to make either option work? And if either option can work, what needs to be in what place? Because I agree with you that the tone of the meeting kind of was hijacked by the financing, because that was the new information that we had gotten, right? And it wasn't, we didn't really discuss, besides, I mean, we discussed that the order of things secondarily, but it wasn't the priority of the meeting. It was, is this COP or ballot measure, would that work to build this major project? And we didn't even really discuss, do we want Newell Farm to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? Do we want Town Park to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5? that was never really discussed.
Or open space and trails, which are
Right.
the top priorities, aren't even on here. So I feel like
Well, so my own personal view of it, one of the reasons I didn't bring that up specifically is because I would consider the Arboretum and Discoursey open space and park and trails.
so that's it for the next 25
No.
years.
No,
Not
but
everything's
that
in
But
here.
it kind of is if you, I mean, depending on which way you go. If you're going a finance option with a COP or with a bond measure, you have no money left for anything after the Arboretum. And maybe even Jaskowski. You might not even get to the disc golf because you have no money left.
I mean, this isn't every single thing going on. I don't think.
Well, that's my point. Is there's more stuff going on, and these numbers are not even capturing all the possibilities. And why are there only two options? Like I feel like the finance discussion needs to come out of the priorities. Like what are the priorities of the town, and then where are they going to be located, and how are you going to finance that? It could mean maybe a smaller finance loan. Maybe that's the best option. Like we really want to get the pool done, but we don't have money. But okay, let's take out like a couple $1 million loan just to get it done, right? Like that's an option, but that's not an option here. There's no option there. So I feel like before like the financing or no financing option needs to be discussed, there needs to be a realignment on like what are the priorities.
So
I
the
feel like
priority meeting is you guys telling Carl, and Carl feeds that to the board.
It could be whatever it needs to be. It could be a joint port trustee meeting. It could be a trustee meeting. It could be a port. I don't know. I don't know what the direction is, but
I feel like that's sort of chicken and egg though. Like if knowing the financing options would be helpful in determining priorities because that could change things. Like I feel like it's hard to say which you need first. I think
I'm
having all the information would be helpful. Like all of the financing options and
Yeah.
But
And
I
Port
think
doesn't
also,
always
too-
get all the information,
Yeah.
and that's just the nature of the process. Your recommendations have always been passed on to the board. I don't remember when Richard was presented, but it would have been in the presentation somewhere, Port's recommended lap lanes in the pool, and that decision could be made there. I believe the Richardson presentation was really just, it came in pretty high price, and there's no options right now to fund it, and it kind of is a
So-
stalemate. So
my confusion is a year ago there was this port priorities meeting. Port and trustees met and talked about the priorities,
Mhm.
which are the Arboretum and the pool. And then 4.5 months ago, the direction was to move forward with CDs at Wagner for a pool, which is totally in line with the priorities that were discussed like exactly a year ago. And so why was the discussion not about how can we make a pool happen and how can we make an arboretum happen? Why was the discussion about ball fields and stuff and financing? Like,
just
what-
two options.
why did it change?
It
to
only
have ball
changed
fields?
because
When
financing
ball fields
thing,
are like the number
it was just
13
giving
priority.
all the information out. I mean, this was given out. Outdoor pool arboretum. That's 1 and 2. 26, 27. I mean, that was the first slide for the financing. Like, you can do this option, and then here's some scenario, right? It wasn't presented as, hey, we should all do this. It's not. The town's just presenting every option available. And ball fields, I know hasn't been hot here, but ball fields is a need. I know it never surveys well. You can even ask the companies doing surveys. It never surveys well. But the people
But
here,
is that,
you know,
again, going back to there's not even open space and trails on this thing.
I
Like,
think
how are we even having a discussion when that's not even on the list?
I think
If we're
Carl can
looking
check on
10
that.
years
We can
out-
check on
If we're
that.
looking 10 years
but-
out, like, yeah, the arboretum's done. If the trustees approve that, which is still to be determined. But okay, the arboretum's done. Where are open space and trails in the next 10 years on this thing? Like, I just feel like something's missing in this discussion, which is really like looking at the port survey results, revisiting what
Mhm.
the port trustee meeting discussed, and how to make those things happen.
Mhm.
Whether it's financing or not financing or whatever. That's just my opinion.
And I think as Port, what we've said all along is that I understand that ball fields don't survey well, but again, we talked about following what the town is looking for. So I guess it's kind of hard to, I mean, if you look at things, I would say, being on the board of a club sports team, that basketball courts are really, really needed, and I'm sure Amanda would would agree with me on that. That basketball fields are real, or basketball courts are really, really needed here. But those are things, yes, we do need. But again, when you're looking at the needs of a town, I think that we need to look at those survey results and really think about what the town is looking at. What I would hate to see is for the town to decide, the board to decide to go with the financing option and saddle the town with a, $40 million, whatever that loan would be, and bypass a vote and all of those things, like what happened with the rec center, and not be able to do other projects that rated much higher, which people felt like they were doing the survey to have their voices heard. And so if we did the survey to have people's voices heard, and then we go back and say, oh, but we know better that this is actually a priority, then I think that you're going to get a lot of angry citizens from that. So I think it's hard, and I'm glad I'm not on the board.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of turmoil over these decisions. And so,
Yeah, and I don't know if I should comment on this or not, but I'm just gonna, because I'm your liaison, right? So this is from my point of view, right? So I can't speak for everyone. There is an issue from the board level decisions on survey information. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, right? But the people who take the time to take the survey are not necessarily representative of the people who send us emails who didn't take the survey, and people who show up in the meetings who didn't take the survey and are only emailing us and showing up for the meetings when the survey is complete, and then something starts to move forward and they start to pay attention to it.
Fair.
Right? And
I disagree with that, though, because the port survey is statistically representative of the town. I think it said 96.8%.
what he's
Which
saying,
means
though,
there's
is
a
that-
96.8% chance that survey is spot on with the needs of the town,
Sure.
which is really high. So there's a very small chance that survey is not representative of the needs of the town. And I think what maybe the confusion is when special interest groups
Yes.
show up and their voice is really loud, and
Right.
it floods. It's the noise in the signal, right?
Mhm.
The noise is the couple of individuals or groups that are saying, vote for this, do this. But that's why we have a survey, because the survey is the signal, right? The survey is statistically representative of the needs of the town. So if there's any doubt, look at the survey. And
Right.
you can even look at the 2016 port survey, and you can look at the 2020 comp plan. It all says kind of the same thing about what the needs are.
Right.
It's pretty
And both these options hit the needs, I think. Maybe the financing is a little scary. I get that. But both of them give you an outdoor pool and other options. So, I mean, the survey doesn't tell you, and this is just, does the survey tell you where to put the pool?
No, I'd say that's up to the
Right.
board to decide.
So,
The survey
and that's what's
says
going on right
pool,
now.
And then the
Yeah.
board has to decide where to put it.
Yeah, that's basically all that's happening right now, and it's a little instead of just showing the board, hey, we can put a pool in now for 10 million and not think about the next 10 years. That's what this whole presentation was. Okay, well here's it laid out with a few items that seem really big right now. So I mean, both options are there. It's now just how do we pay for it talks, and I think either way there's a good chance there's an outdoor pool somewhere.
when is
Yeah,
this
but
coming
I-
before the board for a vote? To be
I
voted
don't
on?
know. Chris was working on numbers, and I don't think it's been added.
So it's not
Not-
like if there's another meeting, it would be to get more information, or would that be a meeting to vote on what the decision is?
I think our instruction was to get more information.
Okay.
Um,
I guess my question is, when you're presented that information, will there be a vote on what to do with that information?
if someone makes a motion, yes,
Okay.
but that's up to each individual
Sure.
meeting.
Yeah, and there's always, we see this with every project going on at the town. There's something's coming to the board, and they don't always have to make a decision that night. And depending on what they hear and what they talk about, so like I think this one went to the board, and I think the buzz around town was they're gonna make a decision tonight, and it's no, they're gonna talk. They get the chance to discuss this because they can't discuss it any other time. So
Right. at
they're
the study
getting it. They're
session.
not. They're not getting other than study sessions. They're not getting a chance to talk about it. They're not supposed to. But so that always happens, and then I think the board does a good job of saying, "Hey, we got a few more questions to ask, and then bring it back again, and see what happens then." So
I have a question. So if we have recommendation power, would it be reasonable to recommend that once the funding information comes in, we could request that before they make a decision that there's a prioritization meeting. So then the prioritization and the funding are right there to be able to think about how to move forward with.
In the sense that we would be at the prioritization meeting?
Yeah, like a joint meeting, requesting a joint meeting or suggesting a joint meeting.
We can absolutely make a motion
yes,
to-
and
to recommend that prior to making any decisions that there be a joint port board prioritization meeting discussion.
I mean, would that make you feel better about them moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the decision that would be made would be on whether or not to do the financing and do Richardson Park. But as far as everything else down the line, you wouldn't be deciding the priorities of that, or would it be like this or that?
If there's a prioritization meeting, if you guys recommend that I bring before the board that there be a prioritization meeting, and that is passed, that prioritization meeting is for you guys to give your specific priorities, which I understand that you already have, right? I understand that. But in light of the new conversations that have been happening, your recommendation would be, if something can be funded in this way, do you recommend that it be funded in that way? Or do you recommend that different priorities take precedent, even though the funding could work for project A, B, or C? Was that English? So you guys can recommend anything that you want. And I have to bring that before the board. And if they agree that there should be a joint meeting about topics that you would like to talk about, then that's what the meeting would be, right? I can't say that there's going to be a meeting, and I can't say that there's not going to be a meeting. There has to be consensus that if you guys recommend that there be a meeting for prioritization, I will make that recommendation.
I personally feel that because, like I showed in the timeline, the direction has changed. It appears that ball fields are now a priority, and that wasn't what was agreed upon like exactly a year ago. I feel like it would be very helpful and would give the port committee a vote of confidence that we do have a joint priorities meeting, just to make sure that our voices are heard, because things have changed. Like, clearly things have changed from the direction we were going 4.5 months ago. So I think it would, especially again, because we're talking about the largest purchase in town history, the largest loan, whatever you want to call it. This is a huge decision, and I would hate for it to be rushed without giving it like the thought that it needs.
So would you say that you guys agree, because the focus has changed so often in the past 3 years, specifically with Richardson, Arboretum aside, and because the options that were presented in front of the board were, both of them, a lot of money, and they may not agree with the survey and with the wishes of the broader community that you would like to discuss with the board your specific comments and your specific recommendations on those major projects coming up.
Yeah, because they don't agree with, and I would say there's really just, when I look at the pool timeline, in my mind, it's been one shift, and that was going from this resort pool that we kept bringing up for 3 different meetings. The port survey came out and we switched directions, and we've been going hard on the outdoor pool at Wagner. So, and we had consensus on that too. So if that has changed, to your point, and like now ball fields are in the mix too, I feel like we need to get on the same page and have that discussion. If the priorities were like, if the trustees 2 weeks ago had said, yep, the no finance option looks great, it's in line with what us and Port agreed upon, let's move forward, I'd have no problem. But because now we're talking about financing and taking a huge amount of money out, and because clearly the priorities within that financing have changed, I feel like it merits some further discussion, especially because there are going to be huge trade-offs with this. Like, again, open space and trails, number 1 and number 3 priorities, those are gone.
Would you guys mind making an official recommendation that you would like either an agenda item or a study session, and I can give that in reports that that's your recommendation?
I will make a motion that Port would like to have a joint Port trustee. I don't know what's more appropriate. Studies.
It would be you would either say you either want a study session or an agenda item, and this seems to be a large conversation, so I would recommend a study session of some sort.
Okay. It would be helpful to not have special interest groups there, so we can just focus on the priorities as well. I don't know.
They're
if it's
allowed.
I
possible.
can't do that
Okay.
because it would be a public meeting.
Okay.
And it depends on the chair as to whether or not it would be opened up. Study session information does not have to be opened up for public comment. Agenda items do.
But either way, the public is allowed.
Either way, the public may attend.
Or can you all have a meeting without distractions as trustees?
No,
No,
No.
they can't.
we
Yeah,
can't.
this
We
is-
legally
Exec
can.
This is where
No, executive sessions are for legal negotiations and cost evaluations. We cannot have a closed meeting about a public project.
yeah, ideally the biggest thing you could do right now is give your priorities out. Your worries, your priorities. When you put 14 people in a room, it just takes one person to derail the conversation, and it just goes in a circle. So that's why it's good for you guys to have your time. Right now, you could give Carl your priorities. He's going to read them to the board. And then the board gets to talk about it as there are 7 people. Because, I mean, I was at the last one, and
I would like to make a motion that we have a joint Port trustee study session.
Okay.
To discuss priorities.
So before you guys vote on that, based on what he just said, would you, because that could be voted down, right? I don't know. Would you rather give me a specific list of priorities,
No.
and then I could say during my reports, and if the board would like to have a study session, which Port recommends, this is what would be discussed. That way it's on public record what your concerns and what your priorities are, whether or not the meeting gets agreed upon.
Oh, I see.
I think you are the liaison, so I think we can tell you what our priorities are right now, and we can also recommend to have a Port study session. You can take both those to the board.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so we're going to tell you what our priorities are. We're going to recommend to have a joint Port trustee study session
To discuss priorities.
to discuss priorities and concerns, or whatever we need to discuss, prior to moving forward on any further finance options or no finance options.
Prior to a vote on
Prior to
Prior-
decisions being made.
Yeah.
Someone second that? I'll second it. I think it would be good to have a meeting. I do appreciate giving you priorities as well, and I can't speak for everyone, but I would say that my guiding light in terms of priorities is still going to be the survey. And so, looking at back to the survey and seeing what people want in the town, and like Anna said, having 95+% accuracy in terms of what the town wants, making sure that that's financing or not, that's the guiding light in terms of what the decisions are that are made for what we do going forward. And in what prioritization it is.
Do you guys all agree?
Yeah.
So your
Instead of going project by project, I think just kind of going in the sense that the survey needs to be what guides them.
So your priorities are parks, open space, outdoor pool, amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this, do we have the survey? I think I sent it.
I think that's correct.
There's 4 like very clear priorities that are like significantly higher than the rest.
I think
And
trails
so
and open
that's-
space are separate.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that right?
biking / running trails is number 1. Number 2 is the outdoor pool. Number 3 is natural areas. And then number 4 is our.
I'm sorry, I was
Can you pull up
doing
the
3
survey?
things at once. Trails, open space.
So it's biking / running trails is
Mhm.
number 1. Number 2 is outdoor pool.
I think you need to talk with the group. Make sure.
I'm just.
Oh, you're doing the survey. Sorry,
Mhm.
I thought you were
Yeah.
listening.
Number 3 is natural areas. And number 4 is amphitheater.
Sorry,
Yep,
I
that
think
one. Go up one more. So there's like 4 clear priorities
Mm-hmm.
that
So is it y'all's consensus that those 4 priorities remain the priorities of Port, and you recommend that there be a board Port study session to discuss why those remain the priorities?
yeah, and also if things have changed from a year ago, because the top 2 priorities from a year ago were the arboretum and the outdoor pool, and that still seemed to be clear in May at the May 13 meeting. If things have changed, having a discussion about understanding
Bless you.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you.
why the port survey is
if I'm just being honest, nothing was shown to the board that went against the priorities.
the ball fields.
We can do other things. Was dog training a priority in the survey? But we're being told to do dog training at Oskowski. We need to think. There is definitely. I'm watching from the outside. You are very heated on this. I showed you 2 presentations that showed outdoor pool, arboretum, and this is why we can't have a joint meeting with the board. It's not a good idea.
The port committee all just agreed to have.
I'm watching from the outside. You're pressuring a lot of people right now, is what it seems like. It's just you're saying things, and then I'm showing you, and they're not what's on the screen. You're saying different things that are being presented, and it's hard to not get honest right now. But the first thing shown to the board was outdoor pool arboretum. Why is that against Port's priorities?
I totally agree with that.
Then yeah.
I totally agree with that, but that is not the direction that the trustees gave to.
And that's fine. That's not your job to then. You're allowed to be upset about it, but it doesn't mean you get to. You guys can call your meeting, but the trustees get to make the decision, and that's what Port needs to understand. It goes beyond you, and then they get to go. So, what I'm seeing is a few people on Port not happy with the direction that it might be going, and they're trying to get back into so that their direction is
This is in
seen.
our direction. This is what, and like I showed on the timeline, and this is I showed on the. I tried to provide. I have been trying to provide factual information about the direction that the port committee has been going for the past 3 years, right?
Yeah, and
These are just the facts I'm trying to lay out, right? And so I'm trying to ask questions and understand what has changed, because
Well,
The
Right.
financing
and that was
not
explained.
changed.
I mean, ultimately,
and
We
how,
didn't have
how
that
did we get to
information
that
before.
financing point without having a port priorities meeting 2 weeks ago? That's my question. Is like, you know,
And you all were invited to the study meeting. Some board members showed up. They explained their priorities. You were given a chance to talk more than just the 3 minutes. So that all happened. And now it would go back to the board because they had their questions. And it goes back to the board again. And you're welcome to come to that meeting again. I think Will's opened it up. You guys get more than 3 minutes if you want. But it's not, meetings don't work when there's just two groups going back and forth with each other. It's just the one group has to talk, control the public and everything, and then they get to talk again. So it needs to be. I don't see any way that it's dropped off from their priorities. Just a new thing came in, a new option. It's interesting, and it's taking a little time to talk about. So, like, this is the time to give your priorities so everything keeps moving efficiently. Because now there might not be a meeting that can happen until November. And now we're in November, and we go and we turn our wheels again. And now we're in January. Because there's only one meeting in December. And things like that. So, to be efficient, what I think your concerns are with Carl, and he's going to do the recommendations and stuff. But we're just not being.
well, we just gave a recommendation to Carl. He can present it to the
Yes.
trustees. They can say no if they want. They don't
Right.
have to have a joint session with us, but we just provided a recommendation to Carl. And I think if Callie were here, based on the letter that she sent today, she'd probably feel the same way. We are an advisory committee. You're right, we don't make the decisions, but again, I feel like we've been working really diligently as a port committee over the past 3 years on the Arboretum and this outdoor pool. And I feel like just, again, not having a priorities meeting when there's options presented that don't give the full picture, like open space and trails are not on there. I just feel like it merits further discussion. Whether or not the trustees want to have a joint meeting with us is up to them. But I feel like and I think at our last port meeting there was some concern raised too. So I've just been trying as a secretary that has the minutes available to just kind of give the picture for where things have been and just trying to understand where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry if it's coming across like that, but it's just I'm trying to share the facts with the group.
Got it.
And-
I'm only just trying to make things move efficiently, and
I agree. I agree.
so, and it's tough. Every time something gets close to getting accomplished and approved by the board, there's people who come in and say they weren't aware. You guys are doing this without our knowledge, things like that, and it's just like the project is just moving. I mean, we can't move forward without the board approving it. So, but I just see, I've been here 8 years, so I see this every time, and it's like, I don't want to make a precedent that we have a port board joint meeting every time we want to approve a new parks project, which we're moving that
I don't
way.
think that that's not
As soon as it becomes something that maybe port doesn't agree with, is where we're going, and that's what we can't have that.
It's just help me understand why I've spent 3 years working on this and it's going in the trash. That's what I'm asking.
I don't
Help
know.
me understand this.
I don't know what's going in the trash. I don't think anything's going in the trash. This is your plan right here. How it looks. And any of these can be moved around, but this is just how it looks.
It's not a full view of the plan. Like I've already
Right,
said,
right.
that, you know, there are things missing on this plan that are high priorities for the town that I feel merit at least being on this Excel file. And I feel like it's unfair to the trustees too to be given this information with zero time to review it, to be making even a decision about.
They don't have to make a decision. Everyone thinks they always have to make a decision. They don't. They get to look at it and ask questions about it, and then it can go to another meeting. It doesn't always have it can always move a little bit, right? And it moved a little bit this time. There was some good stuff that was brought up at the last meeting. So,
And there were a lot of clarifying points that needed to be at the next step,
yeah,
right? So, once again, I can't speak for the board, but often when I vote yes to move something forward, it is to move to the next step with clarifications so that it doesn't become a spiral and it stays at the same level. Because you can move forward with the understanding that if the new information doesn't satisfy my concerns, I don't have to vote on it, right? And yeah, I mean, we don't have to make a decision every night. Even when staff recommends that we make a decision, often we say, no, we need a little bit more clarification before we vote on this. Because I want to move things forward as well. I mean, Jaskowski's been owned by the town for 13 years, which obviously has special concerns with it, right? But I will take the specific list. I will put it in my report that these are the lists and there are concerns about the high cost of the project, which there seems to be vagaries in, and you guys are recommending a discussion, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Thank you.
I would also suggest to the port committee members, I think, and I try, but I'm not great at it, but I think showing up at the board meetings and making our voices heard there too is important. I think we're on the port committee, but, and Carl passes on that information, but I also think that, you know, those special interests show up in droves when they have something that they want. And so if we feel passionately about something or one of the things that's on the board agenda, coming to those board meetings and speaking at those board meetings is also very well received, even though we put in our time on the port committee as well. Just as a citizen, just coming and making our voices heard there is important too. So I would suggest that if anybody has specific things they want the board to hear also. Okay, we spent quite a bit of time on that, and I do think that we should move forward with the next agenda item. Keith?
okay.
So discussion item for recreation trails.
All right. So what I was planning to do today is, because we always talk about the trails at least once throughout the year, is give you an update. The last trails master plan we had done was in 2022, so it's kind of how have we been trying to hit what the trails master plan has listed. So I'm going to go first. I was going to skim through parts of it. One of them has a map of existing trails, and sorry, it's not popping up like it was supposed to. Basically, I went through and highlighted. I added all the trails that have been added, and it's not a ton. Trails are kind of a slow process. When you look at it as like a whole map, you're not going to see, like, we're not making a trail to Highway 56 or I-25 yet. Where are my colors at? I will try to remember where I put them, since they're not. Okay. So what I was gonna propose is I'm gonna update the map in the Trails Master Plan, the existing one. I was gonna put an addendum that said like updated 2025. So new trail segments. What is both of these are gone? What is going on? This is weird. So new things are added to these maps. There's new. I'll try to describe it. There's a little neighborhood trail in here. There's our trail segment right here. The trail also comes around to here, this area. There is this segment down here along Mountain Avenue, goes along and connects up now, I believe, all the way, and then a little into the bike park.
I don't think it doesn't go into the bike park, does it? I think that side is closed still.
It stops at the.
There's a fence.
But I think the fence is open.
Yeah,
On
should go into the
on
bike park.
287 side?
I think it's open.
Yeah, from Matthews up north.
Yeah, that you can walk the loop.
I'm saying from the west side of West Side Crossing. Like if you go on the west side of our neighborhood and go north, you can get in from the west side of our neighborhood.
I think so.
But there is a fence and like
Maybe
I think
maybe we're thinking of different places.
I don't think it's connected. I think there's a fence.
I must be thinking about the wrong trail. You can make the loop through the bike park.
From the 287 side of our neighborhood?
I think we're talking about two different things.
Where that purple line was, it goes up along the west side of our neighborhood. And then I thought where it goes to Bike Park, there's a fence all along there.
I think we must be talking about two different things. 'Cause
Okay.
I think I can do that. I think I do that. Maybe I don't.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Keith? Like from our neighborhood path on the west side of Matthews Farm?
Mm-hmm. It goes, because you got the barbed wire there or whatever, the wire fence. It goes through that.
There's
And
an
then
end.
Because we had to close that during the construction.
Okay. Sure. Sorry.
Because I don't know why this isn't loading correctly.
I was just curious. It's not.
Stuff is messed up. Okay. There we go. New trail stuff in there. So the teal are kind of the regional concrete trail segments, 8 to 10 feet. The green ones are neighborhood segments. So yeah, this trail should go up, and then it goes up to the bike park. And I just kind of put a dash in there for the bike park. There's a lot going on in there, but is that the one we're talking about, Lauren?
Yeah. I just didn't. I thought it was still closed off. But
Hopefully it's not. Let me know if it is. Yeah, and most of this is development stuff too going on some of these pieces. But I tried to update. What's the good stuff? And there's a lot of weird pieces. Neighborhood attachments, sidewalks, 5-foot sidewalk, 6-foot sidewalk piece. I don't go through and do all those. Vantage has a lot of those. I'm not gonna go do every 200-foot segment. Because it's like checkered throughout. But there's like little. If anyone's ever walked through there's sidewalk, and then you kind of go back behind people's houses on a little 5-foot segment, and then you go connect to sidewalk. And so I wasn't going to add that to the map because it just looks weird. So the updated map is going to have all this back in here in purple and orange. So let's see. And then I was going to go down to the action items and kind of go through what's been going on with them. I have a couple of these marked wrong, but it won't let me change it back the color. So going through the action items of this plan, working with Loveland, the Front Range Trail Connection. Loveland is still working through. They told me this week they're at 30% design for Eagle Vista and this connection, so they're moving kind of slow on it. And once they get to 30%, they're going to start applying for grants. So I'm not sure exactly where they're at, even with the Eagle Vista open area, which is north of there. But it's yeah, I don't see it happening in the next few years still, the connection. I mean, we need Loveland to come down to us. Our connection is going to be built by the developer because they're required to do that. And so they're in coordination with the developer on that. And the developer's plans have it listed there. So we have the easy part. They have the hard part. So let's see. The completed connection along Bertha Parkway. So that's one that's completed now. The lights still need the meter's not, the electric meter's not installed right now. And that's on the builder and permit. So that's why we're talking about the new overhead push button thing. So that's why, I mean, I think any day now we could see that activated.
Is that a red light?
It will turn solid red. Yeah, it should turn solid red, and stop traffic. I should pull up maps. The Heron Lakes Trail Connection. This is an item I believe like a board member might have added this into the action items. Whoop, where'd it go?
It's half on.
Oh, there it is. This is too many screens. So the item would be trying to connect those two. There's a temporary trail. We can't make the developer do a paved trail there. They'll do it when they develop it, when they actually move through with that phase. So there's a temporary one there now. We've looked at maybe crush refining it ourselves. I don't know how high of priority it is. Maybe you guys would know. I mean, it's going to be like $35,000 for the town to do it. But does that make sense for us to do that? Or does the current trail work? If you guys have any comments on that. But
I'll throw a comment out there on that, because I run that quite a bit, is I think as is, just because once you put that money into that, they often will use that area of the parking lot when they've got, like, I forget the name of it's whatever the event is that they do around
Corn
the
Ferry?
July weekend when it's super hot. And really that would just get spread all over the place by vehicular traffic. And then they also will open that southern gate to manage a lot of that parking. So I would recommend just leaving it as is. The one thing that I would throw out there is that TPC tends to ebb and flow as far as access. They will just casually close the gate.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they do any coordination with the town on that. But
no.
sometimes it's a little surprising when you have to jump over a gate when you're trying to run with a dog. So
Yeah, just keep us updated on it. They're supposed to keep it open. It's supposed to say public access. Yeah. So I haven't heard anyone tell me that
and I
this
will
year.
say that the shoulder improvement though on 10E has been very nice. Once those bollards got put in, especially, and now you've got that, like, some wild stuff kind of growing through there, that definitely helps delineate what is a trail and what's the road.
On that note, which you brought up, that gate closure has been a concern for years. So if you or anyone you know comes across a closed gate, please contact staff because that is supposed to be open.
Yeah. And in my opinion, the Metro's been very easy to work with whenever. So I don't know if it's just a worker making a mistake or something like that, but I mean, they're pretty aware of it. So I think that's I don't see them there. I want to get over, there's some people who think they have an issue with that development, I'll say, and they think the development's trying to keep them out. That is not what's happening. It's just workers make mistakes. It is an active construction area. Technically, they do deliver things, so maybe that's why they're closing it, which they should probably do. But this would be good for us to know, so we can talk with the developer about it.
I guess my question is, why is there a gate? If it's a public access, why?
Well, it's not officially public access. They added the sign because there was a resident who refused to use the connection because they thought the development was going to try to charge them for trespassing if they use the trail because there was no public sign put on the trail.
But again, why is there a gate?
I think there's just a. I mean, are we talking about the gate up here, or the gate
I
on the
think
south
there's a
side?
gate coming
We're
off
talking
of
about the south
10E.
side
The
one.
south side
Yeah.
one's closed up.
Mhm.
I know they're delivering stuff, stockpiles and stuff over here. I don't know if they close it during that, but we can check on that. It's
Okay.
usually kept open, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious why there's even a gate if it's a public right of way.
It's not a public right of way. I wouldn't say. It's not.
Mm.
It's undeveloped property, and they put in a temporary trail to make the connection.
So I guess they didn't have to do that until their development is complete.
Probably not, yeah.
Yeah, because they're part of the old code, which required. Yeah.
Mm.
If it were a new development, my understanding is they're required to do those. The beginning of the development, not at the end.
Well, the issue is that this, from the golf course south, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the golf course south is a different phase of the development
Mhm.
that is not cleared yet.
Mhm.
And so technically it's private property. But there's a right of way there to connect the trails, even though they don't technically have to do that until they actually start developing that piece of property. Because the infrastructure has to go in when the phase begins construction. The infrastructure has to go in first, but they haven't started building that yet.
And it will be, just curious, houses there? Is that the.
Yeah, that whole south little L shape is going to be. I think it was planned for more houses.
houses?
So that's okay. Action item. So I don't think we're gonna get a paved one until the phase moves in, and pedestrian safety on the County Road 10E bridge. So that is this bridge right here. We do have the stripe. There will be some little delineation up there. There won't be Jersey barriers. Those are big and heavy. But we're gonna start with some delineating bumper type delineation things. It's not a heavily trafficked bridge. I think that's going to be fine, but you guys will be able to use that in the next month, hopefully. I mean, it's open now, but there will be these little white bollards stuck in the ground that should help people feel a little safer, I think, behind there. Let's see. Update the town code with trail standards. That's been done. Complete the planned soft surface rookery trail loop. So we did just complete the trail to here. So I mean, this area is unique. The town owns a chunk of property. I'm gonna pull up another page that kind of shows the updates because I'm gonna flip through some updates here for some new members who maybe not understand this area. We have a chunk of property. It's a weird shape. It goes back here, it cuts back in, and then it's like another weird piece here, and then it cuts back in. That's why this isn't a loop around, because it's a weird. So what would that trail look like? Well, there's a shared road with us and the ditch company and the sportsman's club or something. It just has a lot of parties involved. So it's slowly moving. At one point, the developer would have been required to put a temporary trailhead in if that took place. There just hasn't progressed kind of past some quick talks and stuff like that. It's one of those things. If it becomes a priority for the board, it's good to know. But ideally, we'd pick this would be one of those low hanging ones because it's just putting some trail material down. So there's other unique things. There's a group of nesting herons back here. You can't use the trail. You can only use this 1.3 mile loop from April 1st to August 31st. So you'd go back here, you do this, and that's kind of some prime summer and stuff like that. And then following that, you get pretty close to hunting season, and they hunt along the edge here. So, because there's a sportsman's club here, down here, and they're allowed to hunt down here. Now, the ditch company owns, like, they'll tell you they own to the high water mark, which is pretty much to the top next to the road. So, I don't know how it works if they lease it out to the sportsman's club, but it's gonna be that weird thing. Okay, yeah, we open it up, but there's people hunting down here because they're allowed to hunt, like waterfowl hunting type stuff. So, just a lot of those conversations need to keep going on to get it
So
going.
they could be shooting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not. We do have Loveland Reservoir has hunting on it.
We hear the gunshots.
hmm So it's a unique thing having town property around a body of water we don't own. Yeah.
So, like, what's the timeline for this to be potentially open to the public at various times of the year or whatever? Is there a timeline, or is this like
Someday.
too far out?
No, I don't think it's too far out. I just don't think it's like it's not next year. I know that. That's about all I know. If the board could decide during their priority meeting to move it up to get this brought back to the list, and you guys can also chime that in too. I would think next year. I guess if the town staff had a preference, I think we're leaning towards trying to open Jaskowski up next year. So then we probably want to open this one up next year and maybe try to do more planning and get it ready for the next 3 to 4 years or something. But there's no, yeah, it's that weird thing where you have these, it's like having the reservoir, but then, the ditch company works out there and they get to access it. And so there's people that aren't town people out there moving around on it. So it's working through those details. That's kind of shared. It is a conservation easement. It's not with Colorado Open Lands, but Loveland and the county come down and inspect it every year to make sure we're not screwing it up, basically. So
I know you probably said this like 3 times already, but you can get back there. You can't get back there.
not right now.
Okay.
No, it is closed right here at this gate over here. Let's see. I'd say back in 22, it was a hot item. But then it was, okay, let's get the trail built to it first. And then now we're at that point, okay, we got a trail to it, and it's not ready to go, I guess, to present. We never, the signage, I'd say the shortfalls for staff that we could have got done. Publishing like a map and signage. Those were ones I thought we were going to tackle like in the first year. And then it was okay. You had this map made, and then there's just gaps everywhere. So I was like, okay, let's wait till the Bertha Parkway stuff's done. So at least we have, because technically you can take a trail, shared trail sidewalk thing from County Road 14 down to Hillsdale, north to south now. There's a few road crossings, but you can technically do that now. So it's now that that's done, I think in the kiosks that's easy to put a map in the kiosk, and then a QR code instead of a brochure, because I don't think anyone's gonna need a brochure, to Cotrex, which is our trails map. So I think that's gonna move forward here soon now that the trail connection's complete. Safe routes to school and sidewalks, those are the next two. Those are continual. Old Town is the 2026, 27. Well, we'll be doing Old Town specifically for 2026, 2027, I'd say. That's where the 5-year plan is. And then we always improve sidewalks next to any road improvements also taking place. And I've got some additional sidewalks that we're working on that I'll share with you here in a little bit.
So the green doesn't necessarily mean complete, it means on track.
Yeah, I'd say that's good.
Okay. Do you think maybe having, if you're updating this for whatever, 2025 or whatever you're doing, you think you could maybe have like a dark green that would represent complete?
Yes.
And then like a regular green could be on track. Because when I see the green, I'm thinking it's complete in my head.
Yep.
And then
I agree.
yellow would be in progress, and then red would be like not started. Do you agree?
I do agree. That's what I was going for, and then I tried to find a stamp that I couldn't find. I could find a complete stamp, but I couldn't find like a pending or. Yeah, so I'll get that on there. So the signage comes up here. So what signage just hit a couple roadblocks because I was about to make a bunch of signage, and then it was brought up. Oh no, we have something in the comp plan that we were going to get uniform signage around town. And then it got, okay, we're going to do a branding, and that might update the logo. It might or might not. So that might change. So it's like every year, it's like, do I make, because it was a lot of signage to put mile markers and name everything. So that's what's paused it. I don't like that it paused it, but because everything was gonna have a little logo on it. It was gonna have a QR code for Coach Trex. It was gonna have some type of mile marker thing. So that's all that happened there.
The branding exercise has happened. So can you proceed now?
The next stage is they're working with someone who's taking that. I think they picked. Did they pick the firm?
Yes.
They picked the new firm,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they're going to look at our logo to see if we need a refresh or something like that.
But the branding of the garden spot, that all stays the same?
I think
Because
for
that
now.
was kind of what I read from that.
The whole thing is, I'm sorry to interrupt. The whole thing is kind of amorphous because branding means both signage and logos, but also verbal branding.
Uh-huh.
And the verbal branding hasn't changed, but they're looking at unifying the sign designs across the
Okay.
different projects. So that's why there's like physical branding, but also thought branding, wrong word, but that those two things are separate, and they're working on the physical branding.
Okay.
Okay. So I'd hope to have some signage up within, getting into next year, I think. Maybe you'll start seeing some pop up in the names of the actual trails. Who maintains them is a big one. Is this a Heritage Ridge Trail that maintained by the HOA, not maintained by the town? Who to call? Those circumstances, things like that. Complete easement connection to Welch Avenue from the Nelson Greenway Trail. Yeah, I'd be surprised if anyone knows this one, but off of Nelson, there is the high schoolers used to walk around and they'd walk this trail, and then they walk and get their lunch. And at one point, there was a trail and it goes between these houses. And so there was a recommendation that we need to build a bridge and work through. I mean, there used to be, I don't know if it's still there, but there used to be a little sidewalk here. I mean, it was tight in there, and that's the route the kids would take. And, I mean, homeowners, I don't think liked it. But the school doesn't allow kids to walk through here last time I checked. They closed these off. So kids would go back in the bushes and the dugouts and do things. So as far as I know, this is closed off, so there is no route for kids to take anymore, and it's not really a priority. It's not a priority connection that we need to make.
And that,
So-
remind me, who owns that space back there between the dog park and the high school?
This would be the school.
But all of that open space
The
there?
school owns this.
Property? Oh,
Yeah. School
because
district.
that used to be the bike park. Or like,
Yeah,
there
some
was
weird
like
little BMX bike thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought that was town.
So I don't think we're not going to do that. This one should not. I like I said, I turned green on accident, and it needs to pretty much. It's kind of yellowish red. This is the underpass at 287, which we were hoping to get funding to do the design for, and I'll hope if I bring up the design. Okay, so the CU students did complete a study on where the underpass should go. But then in order to do that, we also have to improve the whole intersection, which is over $5-6 million to do that. And that's not, I don't think that's even counting the underpass to be done. The underpass is, yeah, I forgot what that is as well. What the price, I don't even know if we have an estimate.
I thought it was astronomical. I thought it was like another 5 to 10.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we're at a point, the design of all this stuff is over 500,000 to start like another design for it. So we were hoping to get funding to do the design. So it kind of hit a roadblock this year, I guess. But we'll start looking for more funding options to try to get the design moving forward. But yeah, we know this is a big priority, but it's also a difficult one.
So this was the one you said you applied for what type of funding? Or who do you apply for grant funding through who?
I get confused with these because there's like, I know Will gave the update on it. NFR, MPO, Northern Front Range Metropolitan Planning. I think they have a list of like all these things in the Front Range. And it was on their list, but it's low on their list of priorities. And I think it being higher on their list makes it a better chance we can get federal funding to help do it. But I wasn't a part of that process, so I don't. But it sounded like a recent meeting Will was at. It was, yeah, they decided it didn't move up on the list compared to other people's, other cities' priorities. Let's see. So Cotrex, getting the trails on Cotrex, that is done. It hasn't been as easy for us to update it like we thought we could. We thought we could update trail closures and stuff with it. They basically told us it's a quarterly update, so every quarter you can send in what new trails and stuff you have.
But can't they do like weather or no?
I don't know.
I feel like or am I thinking of something else?
I thought Loveland was doing it, and we asked to do what Loveland was. It's been a couple years since I passed it on to Paul, our open space. And at first it was like, yeah, you guys, will give you a login and you guys can do it. And then it's like, okay, we'll give it to us. And then,
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of all trails. I know in like the county or like
Yeah.
Horse to open space, they switch it on or off as to whether or not trails are open, but maybe it's all trails.
I
and not
think
core
that's the
trails.
website. Like, cause I don't think if you go to Cotrex it shows like red or green, but I think
Oh.
if you go to the website, then like if you're gonna go on a money day and then you go and you look
Yeah.
up, then it says
Mm.
like they switch it on and off on their website, the Landmark County.
Well, that should be a feature they offer.
I agree.
okay, so Cotrex done. This is just, we're going to maintain stuff. We're going to, as people report issues with HOA trails, we're going to report those to the HOAs to correct. So that was kind of an easy thing, just ongoing. Investigate feasibility of Mountain Avenue Trail in coordination with the Mobility Hub. And this was before the Mobility Hub went in. There was a lot of, some people, not a lot, people thought, oh, people are going to ride their bikes from Berthoud out to I-25, get on the bus and go to Denver. And so that's where this came in at. Okay, the Mountain Avenue Trail has always been listed, and developers, whether they're developing on north or south of Berthoud Parkway now, have to build the trail. And that's where that's at. So
North or south of Mountain or
Mhm.
Berthoud Parkway?
Mountain Avenue. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So all going east. So any new development typically has a trail. I think the development by Pioneer Park Farmstead. I don't know if that one was caught or not early enough. Pickle Farm Farmstead. And I'm talking the one that's the Remuda. It's next to the ditch, just east of the roundabout on the south side, east of the first round.
Of the new phase?
Yeah, east of.
There's a
Turn it
trail.
back this?
There's a
Okay.
trail there that connects to the current Pickle Park trail.
Okay.
That was in the plan.
Okay. There's it's caught now, so it should be. Every development going in knows they have to put in a regional trail either side as they develop. And then continuing to work with planning and support for trail connections through future development projects and connectivity to the regional trail system. So, I think we did pretty good in 3 years with the action items. There's a couple I'm upset about, like the signage and the mapping that feels like it could have got done. But, and probably the I-25, or no, not the I-25, the Highway 287 and Rookery are probably the two. I know everyone would like to get a better update on those. So, with the plan, I was then going to go into some updates.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you have any action items around the Little Thompson corridor?
Did I miss that? I feel like there is one. That might be in the open space plan. I'd have to pull the open space plan up. But anything, since it's listed on the map as a regional trail connection, then I mean, I know it's basically kind of a priority, not like.
Well, if it is not on the open space plan, I think you should have an action item or something related to that, because just again looking through the port minutes over the past couple of years, I feel like you guys have done a really good job of like, I've been really impressed with something like that that's been a super long, kind of a long-term priority, and it is like happening and it's really exciting. So I think you need to give yourself some credit for what you guys have been doing.
Mhm.
So it'd be great to see just at least some sort of a comment, whether it's on this plan or the open space plan, just about like the Little Thompson, because I know that's a huge draw and a lot of people are excited about it.
It was roughed in on the River Trails annexation. They had roughed it in their plan because it is listed as a long-term goal. So obviously that can change depending on needs, but the any developer I think is well aware that that is part of their process of connecting those dots.
Okay, and some quick updates. So since 2022, what's been completed? The South Bertha Parkway Trail Gap, which put the trail down South Bertha Parkway to make this connection. So that was 2022. In 2023, I'm counting the bike park because that is a lot of trails for bikes, stuff like that. So that was completed in 2023. And 2025, I'm counting this complete because it is usable right now, but we just got to get the signal done. But that's the North Bertha Parkway Trail Gap. And then some updates. We already talked about Highway 287. Some things we're working on is a design from the Hammond development up to 287. So I'd expect this to be constructed next year, and I'm saying that knowing there's a decent amount of challenges with the grade, the stormwater, there's a ditch, stormwater ditch here. We have to annex this portion of the land. And we need to start that process, but this is county property and this is county This little piece of Bertha Parkway is owned by Larimer County. We take care of it, but because it's weird. We have this mixture throughout. So we need to annex that in because technically that's Larimer County's right away right here. They said they're all for us doing it, so I don't think there's any issue. But just these weird pieces that get missed sometimes. So ideally, we do have that sidewalk connection, and then maybe some type of pedestrian crossing here. Even though we get into the weirdness, okay, we don't. Do we do a push button pedestrian thing, but we don't have a sidewalk over here, so it gets into some unique stuff.
I drove by there yesterday, and I think making that trail connection that you have in red would be fantastic. And I also was asking myself in my head, I wonder if they're going to put in a trail crossing thing like you just mentioned. I think it'd be great. I don't know what the logistics are, but that would be fantastic.
Yep. So, and it's only going to be like, I think it's a 5-foot sidewalk, but because that's what is coming off of Hammond, it would match whatever's right here. But we'll see. There's the other things. Okay, if you stop traffic here, is that going to cue people into the So there's, it's difficult. So I've also got our project engineer working on. Oh, too many screens. You know, we don't. This is county property right here too. Can we get a connection to the reservoir through that way too? Because that's at an actual intersection. But we'd have to construct this piece and then something. Can we squeeze something in there?
Isn't
That-
there a
another
trail that goes
option?
along the canal? Along the ditch?
Hmm?
Isn't there a trail that goes along the ditch?
There's a sidewalk down here.
Right. And then there was some discussion of having, like, that they were working with the ditch. Wasn't Vantage working with the ditch company to get a crossing across the ditch?
Yep.
And then to connect up to Breckenridge, where that
Yep.
entrance is there?
Mm-hmm.
So that there will be some way to get across there, but
Yeah.
to be seen.
Yep. Yep.
That 10E, again, I drove by there yesterday too. That is so dangerous. There is like no side road. There was a lady walking her dog, and if they're not wearing brightly colored clothes, you don't, like, it's so narrow.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even see them.
Yeah, it's a fun shoulder to run
It would
on.
be really,
Especially at sunrise too, because like when the sun's coming up on the eastern side, yeah, you're pretty much blinded.
Yeah.
so however, if there is any way to get a sidewalk along 10E, like especially for the residents that are living in that area, because I think a lot of people would use it too for running, because it kind of completes a, nice little running loop too. But just for the safety of the residents, it would be really great to prioritize that.
Yeah. So we'll start looking at it. I know he's diving into okay, what right away do we actually have in here? And for us, we get these unique things. Okay, if we put this in, the town will have to maintain it type stuff because we can't hold them to our town codes because they're in the county.
Who maintains on the east side of Garnet Street, that sidewalk?
This is probably someone's HOA, not us. Either is this Lake
Yeah, Kuda might have put
Ranchettes
that in.
or because I think this little piece is Berthoud, Kuda Court.
Yeah,
That's-
it did.
I
Yeah,
don't
they were
think they're
annexed in.
county.
This one's town of Berthoud.
I think. I
People
think
complain to me
it's
about the
annexed.
road, so yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think this little piece is, but the Lake Ranchettes goes around it or something.
Yeah, that is. Not
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
I
county.
think
Kuda is.
it's annexed in.
So these aren't like trail connections; they're good sidewalk connections, is what they'll end up being. But they can definitely be used. So this is just a sidewalk connection, but again, we're trying to connect things. This is south of Berthoud. There's kind of a weird parking area here, so there's be design being completed for that right now. So we'd hope that's getting constructed next year.
This is on the south side of Bunyan.
Yep.
I was actually just asked about this the other day.
Yep.
With the safe routes to school, because coming from the east side, there's no way for kids to get to the crossing guard.
Mhm.
There's no sidewalk, so that's planned. And
It's in design phase right now. So the design should be done in the next couple months, and then it'd go out for bid in spring with like the rest of our bids for construction. So we'd see it built next summer, hopefully.
next summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got some weird fun stuff. It's got utility poles and stuff right where the sidewalk should go. So trying to get utility companies to move those, underground their services. And they don't always do it. If you go to 2nd Street, I have just as the fun stuff. We can't make them move them because they're in utility easements. But we completed, well, gonna work. It's like this box right here. We've done a ramp here. We have a small section of sidewalk not completed because we've done all this sidewalk, took a sidewalk there, but we can't complete this because this box is here. And apparently it's a really important box because they will not move it. And they said, I think they've said like everything's in that box, and it'd be a pain to move it. And it's really interesting because there was another box somewhere over here. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's one of these. When we did 2nd Street, the utility, we built up the road and went down like 12 inches in the road, and we were hitting their utility wires, just bare wires under.
Oh.
And like you hit so many that they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna take the box out, and we're canceling service because they're not gonna come in and rerun the line to like one person down at the end who's all that was using it apparently. But it's just unique utility stuff. There's a piece missing. This is the 1st Street roundabout. This would complete a little sidewalk over the Peakview neighborhood that's missing. We talked about Heron Lake's open space or the Rookery. No timeline on it, but we'll keep slowly chipping away on it. Jaskowski property. The idea that there's more trails in here, but sorry, I stole an old one and didn't realize it. This is not your guys' approved one because this is all farm over here, but trails along this side. So that could be something that opens up more trails, possibly moving forward for next year, but we'll see. And then the Arboretum was another trail, additional trails. If that moves forward, that's ready to go almost. We just got 90% back last week, so we're expecting to be at 100% by end of November or December. And then the open space purchases. Over the last few years, you have the Shoal Farm, which is this segment right here. This is the wastewater property right here, wastewater plant, and then we own this farm right here. So I'm just following the wastewater road because I don't know if we'd be able to actually take the Little Thompson up around these county properties or not. But then that connects to the Lewis Heritage Farm, which is right here, which there's a trail easement through there. As part of the easement. And then we get to the Beefus property, which is right here, which we acquired, I think it was last year. And then the Wilson one is a negotiation, still working through that process right there. And then, of course, the trail comes up through here and then gets into Legacy, and then it would go out and just keep moving. So, if you would ask like 8 years ago how was open space going, it wasn't. There was a stand with farmers that you're not touching our property, but over the last handful of years, there's just been people approaching the town, and so it's been a good thing. Yeah.
The town has done an amazing job of acquiring open space way faster than anyone, I think, thought, and I really hope that continues because this is what the town is asking for. They want these open spaces. Is the red, does that mean complete or not complete?
Red means like purchased. Yeah. Well, not this piece. Sorry,
I was gonna say not that.
not that piece. But I
And
mean, these,
again, just a point just to help people like understand with these maps. It would be really helpful just to have like a legend of some sort, because when I think red, I think not happening.
Mhm.
So just a suggestion, just to have like very clearly like, is this like, what do the colors mean? I guess would be really
Yep.
helpful, because I'm trying to understand where we're
Yeah.
at with this.
Yep. Sorry, just purchase for now. I had a better one that had like the name of the property next to it, and then there was errors and stuff in it.
The Wilson property, isn't that owned by someone as a future development? Or is that not what I'm thinking of?
So they are in negotiations with us to sell basically the floodplain,
Okay.
and the rest of it would be probably
Developed.
sold to developers.
Okay.
But they're negotiating what would actually be able to be sold to the town, and it's like this weird drainage system. It's not conforming in any way, shape, or form. That's, I think, what's kind of making the negotiations last longer.
Okay.
Along the Little Thompson, that piece?
No,
or
connecting the trails below Heritage, where that little Y kind of goes north.
Right, yeah,
It
okay.
would be like this weird little drainage system going down to the Little Thompson.
Yeah, where Dry Creek is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I mean, Dry Creek just kind of disappears into the field, and like it's still floodplain, so they can't really
Yeah, yeah.
developers aren't gonna
Right.
really be able to use it anyway.
Well, and
so.
the developer is who's negotiating with you.
No, I think the owner, who hasn't yet sold it to developers,
Well,
they're trying to. I
doesn't matter.
might be wrong, but I think they're trying to figure
My
out.
understanding was Tate. That
Did they purchase? Did
Tate
a
owns
developer
the
purchase
Wilson
yeah, as far as
property,
I
I thought.
yeah.
it? Okay.
I mean,
I
because
thought
they
it was.
brought their plans to.
Okay, I
planning
misunderstood then, because I thought it was the owner trying to figure out how to parcel it up to sell it, but that makes more sense.
No, I think from County Road 17, all behind I mean, they have plans and
Okay.
all that show where the homes will go versus the
Okay.
floodplain open space, and then that other section is that trails at Creekview, which isn't that, to my knowledge, has just sort of stalled out, and that's a different developer, like the upper
Yes. Mm-hmm.
section.
Well, Trails at Creekview is the big circle to the left of that. It's that half mile.
Oh
plot.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
And those are they supposedly are making, what, 5 miles of trails in that development? Do you know?
oh, Trails Creek.
Yeah, it's a large amount, but it would also connect down to the corner, I think, to the intersection.
Plan kind of shows
Yeah.
something in there, but and then just the other little things that go on, flashing RRFBs, rapid rectangular flashing beacons is what they're called. So RRFBs. Did we install 3 last year along the Nelson Trail? I'm blanking. We installed, one north of the rec center. We installed one on 10th Street, one on 5th Street. There's already one on 8th Street. We have 3 more going on Mountain Avenue. I don't know if they've been installed lately, but the caissons were installed. I don't know if they actually put the poles up yet, but there's 3 going on Mountain Avenue, 6th Street, 3rd Street, 2nd Street. So you push a button and you cross. So those are other things that go on with just the trails and improving the trails with the safety. And then bike lanes. Middle Arc got some fresh striping recently. So those bike lanes. How do you get to them? The front? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Everything okay? I should have asked before she left. Thank you.
So yeah, so those are all part of the plan to improve markings, improve RFBs, things like that. So those are all little tips. If you guys see improvements like that, those are good for me to know, because we do chip away at them as much as we can still.
Is there any progress with the Lake Avenue crossing
That's
across Berthoud Parkway?
that's part of the Arboretum design.
Okay.
So so once we get that back, whether the Arboretum goes or not, we'll at least have the design for what we need to install there, and can possibly get a contractor to do that. Move forward with that next year if we need to. We'd at least have that piece, I guess, right?
Is there? I know that there's been a lot of talk about the crossing from the Hayes Market area across to the middle school.
Uh-huh.
And lots of changes happening there. Has there been any new updates? Is there anything new happening there
CDOT's working on a design.
to bump out the sidewalks and?
They brought a design, and Sean was working on it, or got him to do it. And so I thought we had a good meeting with the crossing guard from the school involved, and then I think there's been more talk now about, can we do something with this lane? Can we make it so it's not 2 lanes going through
Right.
here,
Yeah.
and make it turn into 1 lane sooner, so you don't have, and this just becomes you have to turn here lane, because now you can kind of go through it, I think, still.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
merge.
But it's like confusing for the crossing guard at the school crossing and stuff like that. So I think those are being thrown into the mix now.
Okay.
And it's not just the bump out thing, but
One thing I was curious about, and I chatted with Kelly Seaton for a while the other day while she was sitting out there, and just kind of watching the traffic go through there after she was done being crossing guard for the day, and the speeds going through there. I know that we've had speed conversations. One thing I thought that might be helpful with the cross traffic there is looking at, so there's flashing lights for the crosswalk on the west side going north and south, but there's no flashing lights. There's nothing indicating people coming. Well, now you really confused me.
oh wow.
So there's flashing lights across that intersection, across that crosswalk, but if you turn around, this traffic has to stop as well, but they don't necessarily get indicated. They have to
Yeah.
be looking forward.
Mhm.
Is there a way to make that sort of, if somebody presses the crosswalk on either side of that, because there's 2 crosswalks, can there be flashing lights on that east
This crosswalk?
crosswalk? Yeah, because there's
I
no
think that's-
flashing lights on that side.
I think that's part of the design.
Okay. Because I thought that might just be
Let's bring
helpful
it-
to be more indicators to stop, because
Yeah.
I think you get people blowing through that either side. And I think when you're coming west, right here, yeah, if you're coming
those
west
up.
through here, you don't you're looking forward and seeing that, but I think it might be, if you had flashing lights right there on the east side of that intersection, it might be helpful.
Okay.
I think they just need to put one of those red
Yeah.
stoplight crosses, really. I mean, that would eliminate the need for
But
a
they
crossing guard.
I know. It's tough. It's hard to go, well, that's right down here.
Right.
But there's no really good connection sidewalk.
Right, but if kids
Yeah.
are coming from
I
the
know.
west,
it's
you
the-
expect them to walk. I mean, kids aren't going to do that.
I know.
You're expecting them to walk further east, cross, and then come back. I mean, I
would-
have a 13-year-old. He's not going to do that.
I know.
He's going to run across where he can get across.
So we also, another thing I brought up is maybe there's no turn lane here either, and this becomes like an island type thing, because they don't want people turning that way into the school anyway during school drop off. They want,
But that's how
I
the
believe
buses
Kelly
come
brought
in.
that up.
Oh, I
they'd
guess the
rather-
buses probably go around.
They'd rather have people come in from somewhere over here. I'm not sure what the drop off looks like, but can we just get rid of this altogether? Because you can't turn in to Napa from here, because the Napa turn in is right there. So, I mean, I hope we get something next year. But it's CDOT's roads. They're kind of working on it, which is good to see. They're all for working on it. So
Okay. I was just curious with the safe routes to school. We hadn't really talked about that in a long time, and if that was something to be considered with this. The Lake Avenue crossing, and then this. I also think
Yep.
that you have a lot of kids crossing in those areas.
Yep. I'll check on that east side too.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would make sense to tie that in and have flashing lights on that side, that if you push the crosswalk over here, that all of it lit up, and then that would
Yeah.
cause more.
Yeah, we asked them if we could
Prevalent.
do. They make the lights you put across actually on the surface of the road too. I don't think they were opposed to that either. I think so we'd cut in so there'd be some cool lights down across the crosswalk. So, yeah. The only other thing I was gonna bring up with trails is e-bikes, and where we're at with your guys' thoughts on e-bikes, and don't allow them at the bike park. I had a report there was some confusion. I don't think we're not worried about them. We have a sign at the reservoir that says no motorized vehicles, which kind of means e-bikes, but we're not trying to exclude like pedal assist, because e-bikes have helped a lot of people get back into biking, I think. And so the report actually came in this week. Someone got yelled at by someone out there who said no e-bikes are allowed out here, and it was a couple using some pedal assist ones, riding at normal biking speeds, not the dirt bike looking e-bikes that rip around and stuff like that. So we put a temporary sign up today that said, before we get a permanent one, like, pedal assist e-biking is allowed at normal biking speeds, is basically the only added thing. But does anyone else have any issues with e-bikes, trail usage?
What was our last conversation that we had about this? Because we had a whole conversation about this at one of our meetings.
If I'm thinking back, it's always seemed like it's not a major issue.
It's not an issue on the trails. It's an issue on the roads
Yeah.
with the motorized, the electric motorcycles and scooters, and that's where I see the problem, not on sidewalks.
Yeah, so not to derail the conversation, but this came up in Fort Collins years ago when I was on the transportation board up there, and everyone was terrified of e-bikes, but they allow people who can't ride normal bikes for whatever reason to be able to bike. That's the difference between the three classes, right? So class 1 and class 2 have limiters on them. They can only go a certain speed. They're only pedal assist. Class 3 is the one that actually has a throttle on them. And the concern was always speed on the trails. But my argument was always, if you have a professional cyclist, they can go faster than anyone can go on an e-bike anyway. So it's a matter of culture and ethical riding habits more than it is an e-bike or not. Because the new batteries, you can't even tell that they're e-bikes anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel like most places, like if towns have an ordinance, it's that the class 3 are not allowed on trails. I mean, that's a pretty common.
Yeah.
Like other cities have that as a rule. But like I said, I don't ever see it as an issue on the sidewalk.
But even with class 3s, if you're going 10 miles an hour,
Yeah.
I mean, does it really matter? So it's more of a
Well, and they do,
behavior
like,
problem.
on the Core Trail and Steamboat, they have a speed limit
Mhm.
on the trail. So, I mean, because they are an issue there. And so they've had to implement.
What is the
limit?
speed limit?
30.
That's
But
impressive.
but cycling, you can.
Yeah, I passed a guy
Totally.
coming back from the mountains the other day going downhill. He was going 40 miles an hour. I was having
Yeah.
a hard time passing him.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you guys.
I would say I don't think it's an issue here yet.
Okay.
Personally, I don't see it really.
Okay. And we're still not going to allow it at the bike park because, I don't think any bike park allows them. But the ones that like broke in there early on had just the throttle e-bikes, and yeah, they definitely tore things up multiple times before the park even opened up.
Well, we had like 4-wheelers and stuff out there too. There was a bunch
Yeah.
of stuff out there tearing it up.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
That doesn't seem. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anybody out there recently.
Yeah, I think we get a handful of issues a year, and our staff just goes, "Hey, like you're not supposed to have that out here," and then we get the whole, "Well, we can't go anywhere." It's like, oh, yeah, you're basically riding a little dirt bike right now, and that's how they're riding it. And when those types of bikes hit the turn and they throttle, they just tear up all the packed dirt. So, but the pedal assist ones, I don't know if anyone's brought that up out there or not. There's kind of an all-encompassing saying no. No motorized anything. Like you're not supposed to have like people want to take RC cars out there and do the jumps with their remote control cars that has a motor in it. You're not supposed to do that. So that's why that sign covers like all options, I guess. So, yeah, I haven't had an issue until it was actually today. Someone called real upset because someone yelled at him on the trail, and I said, "You're not who we're." It says no motor. I think it says no motorized vehicles because we were having issues with people taking 4-wheelers and stuff out there. We're just gonna keep it at that. I think the sheriff's office is doing their best with the other e-bikes and mini bikes and everything else that's on the roads. Yeah, that's all I had for the trail stuff then, unless anyone has anything extra.
I just have a couple questions. I assume on Spartan you're just waiting for the other school zone sign to reinstall? Like, because there isn't one on the west side of that new lane that you put in?
Correct. So I think we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to install it. The contractor poured the wrong case on, so I don't know if they actually got the new case on in. So
'Cause
that's
the
all that
sign,
happened.
The like, whatever you call those, the big flashing sign that you have just to the west of 10th blocks your view of the traffic, like the oncoming traffic.
Okay.
So it would be great for that to, but I understand that's there until you can get that like temporary traffic sign. Sometimes it's hard to see around.
Yeah.
And my other thought was eventually putting a crosswalk in at Welch and 8th. Because a lot of people walk, like the brewery's right there and then Hayes. And especially, again, after school gets out, there's a ton of kids at that intersection right there.
Oh, yeah.
And every day I'm like dodging bikes and children and trying to.
Yeah, there is no crosswalk.
Yeah, there's none. So.
Okay.
It's just, I feel like it's a high traffic intersection, high pedestrian traffic.
I walk across that all the time.
Got it. And are you talking this way and both ways?
Well, both, yeah. I mean, I am turning right from Welch onto 8th, like when I'm, that's my route. So like there's kids walking, both directions, crossing over, like staying on Welch or staying on 8th. So I guess both.
And you probably get kids coming from the middle school and the high school going opposite directions, and
Yeah. Okay. Got it. We can add that
across all the lanes.
in. I
Yeah,
that's
I
easy
guess
if we're just
if you
putting
put
some.
them in, don't you just put them in
Do
at
the
all
four?
4 ways anyway, or not necessarily?
We
I guess there's
usually we
always
look to make sure like
stop
everything looks ADA compliant if it's older or not, and we might promote one more than the other.
Hmm.
Like none of those are ADA compliant.
Oh, really?
This is.
Oh, because
Yeah.
they don't have the like. Oh yeah, I
The little
guess there's a
platform.
yeah.
Need the domes, the slopes.
Mm.
Yeah. So talk to them about what might work there. No, those are good ones.
Any other comments or anything on this?
Well, just on Welch too, I think that a very similar thing happens with the farmers market. At that where it enters into like the town park area. Because I've been like I walk back from the farmers market and that's like cars are just blasting by and there's a pretty significant event. Yeah.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think even maybe on farmers market days or birth and market days, doing a little like traffic cone or like a event in progress thing there would be helpful for traffic, just because it seems like there's not awareness from the Welch drivers that there's a good amount of like pedestrian traffic coming from downtown and zigzagging back and forth to downtown.
Yeah. Okay. I am curious. So during those times, is this all full parked?
Yeah.
It's all parked.
Yeah. And so it blocks
Okay.
your vision too on being able to see like both pedestrians seeing the cars and cars seeing pedestrians.
Yeah. Okay. Good points.
Although it looks
Figure
like
out.
there's a light pole right in some
Yeah.
utility pole in the way there.
Yep.
Well, we did get a ramp there
Oh, good.
because we did the sidewalk all the way down here. So I
Oh.
think it comes down across. This got redone.
Yeah, and there's a sidewalk along that house too on the 7th Street side.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a goose.
There is a goose.
Yeah.
I think there's a few geese.
There's a
aren't
couple
there?
of geese, yeah. But yeah, even I mean, not even if it's not a crosswalk, even if it's just putting up a little, traffic cone with a sign that gets put up and taken down when the market's happening, I think that would help.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I haven't thought about it yet, so I'm now trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. Yeah, we have the ones we put on Mountain Avenue. I think we have some temporary ones that we can stick out there. Okay, that's good. Now I'm thinking of all of Welch, because yeah, when
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 3rd Street's the only one that has something, and I don't think we want to do
The bump outs. Yeah.
yeah, get into that. It's nice. It keeps people from parking. Technically, you're not supposed to paint the roads like this anymore, but so that's what we're trying to do in solid colors. But yeah, you're trying not to distract drivers as they're driving. These are fine. I think Denver did a bunch of painting and stuff, and now they're going back and taking it all out.
They're not looking at the road anyway. They're looking at their phone. So.
Okay.
Okay.
They definitely slow people down because people do not like them. They are angry about them.
I was gonna say at first they were very distracting because it's just like what are those and why are they here?
And are they permanent?
Now I'm
or-
used
yeah.
to them.
That was part of the safe routes when it moved down here to get that crossing.
And there is, I know I've brought this up to you before, but speaking of that, like to get from the farms, well, really Farmstead or Mary's Farm, is that Mary's Farm? There's a gap in the sidewalk, which I think is county property, along First Street.
Right, the county property. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just, obviously not, I don't know how much you can do about that, but,
I think it's north of there, isn't it?
Right there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, the town could put something in there. You'd likely see it if we were to come through and pave this road or something. But yeah, it is.
because I know there's not, at least for a portion of Farmstead, they're not provided a bus to get to Ivy. So, like, the kids have to, I mean, obviously, most of them, I'm sure their parents drive them, but, so kids are walking from Michigan to Ivy Stockwell with no sidewalk on part of the route.
Okay. So we have had a crosswalk up here. We've talked about doing some flashing ones up on Welch. Okay, do you think they walk down here?
No.
Unofficial?
Well,
Somebody does.
Yeah, I didn't bring up the railroad crossing, but that's negotiations with the railroad. That's where that's at to get this road through here. That design is done. It's just can't just build a new crossing.
So all of this stuff with the railroad is like gone through as far as that goes, or are we still waiting on approval from the railroad?
Waiting from them.
Interesting how much wider Spartan is as it comes across when it'll meet up with Nebraska. So much wider.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about this trails? No?
Okay.
We all good?
Yep.
Move on to staff updates.
Staff updates. I think I gave you all North Trail. That's like I said, once we get the meter in, the electricians can hook up the stuff. That's all on the builder and permits and stuff. So, hoping that's any day now. So that's the North Trail, finishing that up. And then Oktoberfest is this Saturday at Town Park. That's put on by the Chamber. I think that's it for me.
All right, and then we'll move on to committee updates. Cloud, anything from you?
No, we didn't have a meeting today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got moved to next week.
Okay. Well, we'll listen for up next month. Michael?
Negative.
Carrie?
Nope.
Carolyn?
Nope.
I don't have any. Anna? And sorry,
Eleanor.
Eleanor? Go
Yes.
ahead.
My update is that I got appointed, so
Yes.
thank you all. And so I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Welcome. And Carl?
Nothing for me.
Nothing from you? Okay, if I can get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All right, meeting adjourned.